a civil right is, something, it's actually, I think, pretty big in our legal language, but
Yeah, so.
civil right is something like a human right that most people would call.
So like you have a right to put that flag up. Okay, great, I have a right to put that flag up too?
Okay, see, that's where the confusion is. So I'm talking about when I say, government entities have the right to put up like pride flags. The pride flag is the symbol of the civil rights of gay people to get married, of property, not be, have their house raided, wearing tags or something like that.
Well, okay. That's an assertion. So let's start with this. So you just making the claim like it is true that this flag represents this. That's great. Represents that to this group of people. I believe the same argument with the Confederate flag. Same exact argument. That's great that it represents a negative thing towards this group of people, but it represents a positive thing towards this group of people. It would be the same thing with the LGBTQ flag. It would be the same argument both ways. That it represents a negative thing towards this group of people, but it represents a positive thing towards this group of people. It would be the same thing with the LGBTQ flag. It would be the same argument both ways.
No, look, the problem here is that the condition that I gave for, being fined for them to use this form of free speech is the fact that it represents the civil right of that group of people. But the Confederate flag doesn't represent the civil rights of it.
It would represent the civil rights of any people who wanted consistency so they can have their flag up if they so choose. That would still be a civil right.
That isn't, maybe there's some vagueness on the civil rights thing, but I don't think that you...
If we're going to be consistent with your view, you would need to believe that.
That's not, okay, this isn't answering my question. You don't think that it is a civil right to display...
I think it's a civil right if you put up a gay flag on government buildings. Well, I'm trying to answer the question because you said I was answering it. If you put it up on a government...
ask it for you to
if you put it up on a government... You didn't ask me a question.
I was in the middle of asking you the question.
You said I'm not getting the answer, so I was just giving you the answer.
So the question was, do you think that it's a civil right to see your flag equally displayed? Because that was what you started to say.
No, I think that it would be equally consistent to say you could have an LGBTQ flag flying on some state building and that's constitutional. Then you can say the same thing about a Confederate flag.
The argument was from the fact that that flag represented the civil rights of that group.
That's nice. What I'm telling you is that that's demonstrate the assertion.
That's an assertion based off of the Supreme Court historically.
I'm not making I can make a moral claim, and we can talk about like why people shouldn't, because I think there might be like violence ensued by one versus the other, etc. But
okay, so why should you be able to have
We are audio and video recording this ride for your safety.
flag up but not the Confederate flag?
because I think that one represents the civil rights of a group, whereas the other one doesn't. One is more likely to incite violence. I don't think that the pride flag is more likely to incite violence.
Do you think heritage is part of civil rights?
I think that I think heritage is part of civil rights?
Yeah. When you're talking about the historical use of the LGBTQ flag, for instance, this is going to have some type of like historical meaning to the people in which that flag represents, right?
Right.
Okay. Isn't the Confederate flag going to have the exact same thing? It's going to have some kind of
I already have a lawyer
when it comes to family lineage for people who live in the South, for people who you know, they had ancestors who fought in this war, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be part of their heritage and history. So don't you think that that would have specific meaning to them as well?
Right, but there might, like I said, be overriding considerations. Like if hanging that flag caused violence or something like that. Obviously, you would say, like, okay, if we started hanging up Confederate flags and then more violence ensued against, like, African Americans, you would say we probably shouldn't hang it. Right?
So then, by that metric, are you saying that if LGBTQ flags incited violence in people who were not LGBTQ, we should not hang LGBTQ flags?
Incited violence because of the flag itself? Like, if it would have to be a large amount. That would be the
same thing.
It would have to be a large amount of violence.
Yeah, so as long as, so basically what you're saying then, just to make sure I got your view right, what you're actually saying here is, as long as people who don't like the LGBTQ flag being up go ahead and commit a bunch of violence, they should probably take the LGBTQ flag down.
There would be multiple solutions to that, but could be one of them. Yeah, if there was, like, let's say that was the only way to get people to stop being violent. That might be an alternative. Now, that's saying that that's like necessary to do to stop the violence. Now, if there's other things where we can preserve, you know, like the protection of the displaying of it for civil rights purposes, for the representation of civil rights, and at the same time lower the violence in some other way, then yeah, we should do that alternative. Is that, you think that's controversial?
No, but now you're just...
Oh my lord! I knew that was going to happen.
Initially, what you said was this flag, if it's causing violence, because people, it offends themselves, that makes them respond negatively and violence because of this flag. All that would actually be
sort of DoorDash. If you haven't seen
oppositional to the LGBTQ flag,
my last video live with
because
FedEx,
then you would want to take that flag down, right?
Well, for one, I would say, listen, I would hold
we're
the same
live on
standard.
DoorDash.
Let's go back
We'll be
to
driving
this.
for
I would
another
hold the
4
same standard
hours.
if we had a rule where we said, okay, we can display the Confederate flag and we can display the pride flags,
And I'll be
whatever.
right back and grab my food.
If there started...
Because they owe me money, dude. Lyft owes me money. Uber owes me money. Of course, the goal is to get my account back, but I don't need additional services. I already paid for Activation Hero through Rideshare Professor, and they've been helping me every step of the way. I'm doing it the legal way. I'm not doing it whatever your guy recommends, whatever.
Because of the Confederate flag, I would say, like, okay, well, before we move to, you know, taking the flag down, we should move to stopping the violence to whatever metric we can. Now, there might be other reasons why I think, like, maybe we shouldn't display a Confederate flag. I think the Confederate flag in and of itself represents the negative part of the history that shouldn't be displayed as if we're proud of it. I think it represents slavery. You don't think it does?
No, it doesn't represent slavery. It represents the heritage of people who had family members who died in the war on behalf of their beliefs.
And their beliefs were?
Well, their beliefs were to their state, being loyal to their state. Most Confederate soldiers.
So as I was picking up my food,
slavery
we got an accepted for $12.25
the higher ups who
at
had
Great
these
Wall
slaves.
Restaurant.
So the average soldier, in fact, there's one famous case of them saying, "Why is it that you're fighting in this war? You're so poor, you can't own a slave." And the response was, "Because y'all are here." So what that means is that as the North was invading the South, there was a lot of incentive for people to go and fight against it. They called it there the War of Northern Aggression. And yeah, they had, many of them had cause. They got their houses burned down and things like this during Northern marches to assist in combat in that war. And yeah, I'm sure the people were very proud of the heritage that they come from in the South.
I got agua.
People fighting for the core beliefs on behalf of their families, even if you don't like the cause itself. The cause itself is still very much baked into the American history, just like for instance, I couldn't ban the LGBTQ flag because of HIV.
Real beef. Not that fucking bullshit from McDonald's or Arby's. It's from Cops. I got a banana and peanut butter protein shake.
So it wasn't a Nazi, they just failed this. They were Nazi workers, or maybe they were just fighting because they thought it was like a good thing they were fighting the other person. You wouldn't say certainly that like they should have Nazi flags.
If the standard is that we're not to live up the flag we're choosing because it has some representation value, and we see it as, like, let's say people saw the Nazi flag as being something other than a right to people, I wouldn't see a problem with that, no. Of course not.
Okay, so even though that it is linked to that, it is linked to support of Hitler and
The
the Nazi
LGBTQ flag is linked to HIV.
Okay.
That's how, I mean, people see it as like, oh, wow, AIDS, right? They see the rainbow flag. I think a lot of people think AIDS.
Yeah, that's right. But there's not like gay leaders that are out there like pushing for AIDS, right?
There's not like anybody out there pushing for the Confederacy. Who's pushing for the Confederacy?
I live in the Deep South. There's people pushing for the Confederacy.
Give me a single actual institution of any kind, anywhere, or any real body of people, anywhere, who's pushing for the Confederacy.
What do you think that, I mean, there have been moves historically to cede some of the states again.
That's not the Confederacy.
Because of the, I was speaking, but there have been moves to cede states again for those particular reasons and go back to having the Confederacy again.
No, there's not.
I live in the South. I'm well over, yeah.
There's not, and there's no serious,
You can just say no, but you don't.
There's no serious movement. Demonstrate it then. Show me a serious movement in modernity.
I mean, you could take people like the Proud Boys.
But the Proud Boys don't want the Confederacy. What are you talking about?
Tons of them do.
They don't.
Tons of them.
I know Gavin McGinnis personally. I know for sure that he had no plans to institute the Confederate States of America with the Proud Boys.
And by Confederate States,
Enrique, the former head, by the way, he's, I think, half black or half Hispanic himself. He has absolutely no plans to move towards the Confederate States of America. That's absurd.
they might not have practical plans to, but you can ask some of these people. Like I said, I live in the South. I mean, like, we can table this here because if it's just going to be like, oh, this is an empirical claim, there's absolutely no one that's pushing for the Confederacy. I think that's absurd.
No, that's not what I said. What did I actually say? What was my actual position?
Repeat it.
My actual position was there's no serious body anywhere, not an NGO even, that I'm aware of, that is pushing for the reinstitution of the Confederate States of America. Not a single one.
Thank God.
That the Confederate flag, the only thing you seem to be able to appeal to is, well, because in the South there was slavery, and this was a flag that the South utilized, that means, therefore, that it's a symbol of slavery. That is not only is that not logical, it doesn't follow.
Prove it.
Right? But you haven't even demonstrated that.
Prove that McDonald's has real
the
beef.
flag there view it as a symbol of slavery. They clearly don't. Only the opposition does, right?
Are you guys okay if we move this back to feminism?
Yeah,
But this is part of the consistency of the worldview.
I just want to make it very clear that the Civil War was fought for slavery.
That has nothing to do with my claim. What does that have to do with my claim?
The Confederate leaders of the Civil War were fighting.
When did I make the claim
slavery.
that it wasn't over slavery?
I'm just making that clear for this conversation.
Yeah, but when did I make that claim?
So
what are you arguing against?
That the people who were fighting in the war, most of them weren't just fighting for slavery.
They weren't.
But the leaders of those armies were fighting for that.
Some of them were, and some of them abolitionists in their own right. That generally speaking, leadership there didn't want to keep the institution of slavery intact. I'm not disputing that. What I am disputing is that when Southerners see the Confederate flag as a sign of their cultural heritage, which comes down to their family members defending their homes when the North came in and started burning them out, amongst other reasons, that they wanted there as a symbol of slavery. And that's the argument you're actually making.
That's not true. But
Then why shouldn't it be there?
I said that, well, one, there could be an argument that it incites violence, because it does. In some instances, it's used as a symbol when violence occurs, especially in the South.
Right, so we have to capitulate to people who become violent because of a symbol.
Capitulate to people who become violent because of a symbol? They're not violent because of the symbol. They're violent because they share the values that symbol represented.
So
Have to.
No, they don't. What values are they shared? They own slaves.
There are people in the South that want to own slaves. Yeah, I don't.
How many people in the South do you think want to own slaves?
There's groups of
You
people.
mean have
that
they?
just want
What's the
to-
question, have they?
There's no significant movement anywhere in the South to own slaves.
Even if they don't desire that particular portion of the negative ideological, set of things that people in the South believe during the Confederacy, there is lumped in with that racism because of the fact that it was a tool to push for slavery, right? So that they're sharing
was
this
racist. Why do we fly the American flag?
It's like a joke.
No, it's not a joke. It's not like a
You
joke.
said 12 hours is a half
really
day.
don't understand the position.
Wild.
The position of but they see it as being racist. They are linking this symbol to their feelings. We're not going to capitulate. You honestly are trying to advocate that people should capitulate to symbolism under legal expression because it makes them feel bad.
And by capitulate, you mean?
Take it down.
So you're saying that I think that we should take down Confederate flags if they cause violence, and if
They're not causing violence.
and if they are if they are linked to people who are causing violence, right? Because they share the same values of the people who initially flew those flags. But yeah, I think that's totally reasonable.
Yeah, but
I would really
that's
hope
an
you would say
absurd
the same
claim.
thing about the Nazi flag.
This is a totally insane claim. So, if somebody's flying the Confederate flag and it's offensive enough, you keep on acting like, well, if the flag is causing violence, the flag doesn't cause violence. The flag is nothing. It's a piece of cloth. It has no ability to cause anybody violence. People would be causing violence on behalf of they don't like that. They don't like that flag. So all you're doing is making an argument saying we should capitulate to mobs who don't like things and are willing to cause violence by taking down the thing.
That's not it. I think that that's a complete straw man of the argument. The argument is multi-pronged. It's not just, if people don't like thing, take thing down. That's not the argument.
It sure sounds like that's the argument.
That is
Which part of it am I straw manning?
That is a consideration into whether or not we should allow something or not.
Okay.
There can be multiple considerations. That's one of them.
Okay. Well, I guess we can move on to the second argument then, if you want to move past this one.
Sure.
Feminism has switched women from duty to materialism. Can you
explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, I can't think of a single. When you talk about egalitarianism being, so let's start with this, I guess. Are rights real?
Real in what sense?
Do they materially exist anywhere? Or are they concepts of the mind?
Yeah, rights are concepts of the mind.
Yeah, so they don't actually exist, right?
No, something that's a concept still exists.
Where?
Yeah, like feelings exist, thoughts exist.
Where?
They exist within the mind. You just said that.
And where's that?
In the mind?
Where is that, though?
In brains?
Be right
So
back.
the brain exists inside the mind.
What industry do you work in? I don't understand. You're very vague with your answers, my friend. You say half day, only 12 hours, LOL, and then you say you work in the same industry?
The objective
UPS.
means
Oh, yeah.
independent,
UPS.
and
You're my,
subjective means mind dependent.
My fake rival.
Okay, right. So concepts then, they're dependent on a mind.
You're my
Yeah,
fake
of
rival.
course.
Okay, so they don't exist absolutely.
I feel bad for you
They
guys.
don't exist
Well,
absence of
not
mind,
really.
no.
Okay,
Because I have
so
the same
if all
thing,
human
but
beings were gone, right?
I feel bad for
wouldn't
us.
exist because the concepts would be gone, right?
Well, I didn't say human mind.
Sometimes you gotta, when you gotta go, you gotta go. If you know what I mean by that.
Or whatever.
When you gotta go,
They have
you gotta
their
go.
concepts of
So I
rights,
keep
but
a
humans
cup
have
on
still
me.
only have rights, etc.
If anything
sure.
worse
If
has
it
to
was
happen,
humans, they would, okay,
Just
but
to
if-
I'll
clarify,
have
it's not just human minds. It is
a
just
garbage bag
minds
with
that
me,
can
like-
conceptualize of rights.
I don't give a fuck. Like if I gotta go,
got it. So,
I gotta
when we're
go.
talking about rights, though, you exist, they don't exist in any sort of material reality.
Material.
Yeah.
That question hinges upon the, like, you know, is the mind the brain or not?
You
But-
can't taste them, touch them, smell them.
They call us put it in a
Sure,
cup.
no, first-
Yeah.
Put it in a cup. Pause.
Rights, for all intents and purposes, are just things that we make up.
Sure. That doesn't make them any less real.
Heck, even when I was doing rideshare,
I guess
I would just do it in a cup. I don't care.
Real how?
Do it in a cup, dump it out,
Is it
clean my
is
car
it
out.
uniform
That's it.
real?
Repeat.
Well, as a fictional concept, yeah.
As a concept, it's real.
As a fiction, just to be clear. There's a way that fiction is used in a technical sense. I'm not super familiar with it, but you can point to things that are fiction and things that aren't fiction. So it would be like, well, maybe Spider-Man is real in a sense, but he's real in a fictional way. He's still real, right? There's still a book, there's still movies about him, there's still actors that play him. In a sense, there is
Well, he's really in your mind.
Spider-Man, right? Well, there are material things tied to Spider-Man, right? But there is a real concept of Spider-Man. He's just
Okay.
real in a fictional sense.
Driver
So
really
then
slow.
for you, rights actually do exist as more than they're not. They're,
For real.
When you say concept, you actually believe concepts are.
Yeah, I'd always have
I think they're real in a mind-dependent way.
mind dependent.
When you say
every
so I think
3
what
or
you're
4
doing,
days,
and
I would get
you
a
can correct
Venti
me
cup
if I'm wrong,
from Starbucks.
is
And
that-
then
yeah,
every
it
night I would
seems
just wash
like
it out,
what
wash
you
it
are
out,
doing
wash
might
it
be a
out.
little bit of that. It might
And then
seem
every
like
4
you're
days I
saying
would just get a new
something
drink.
is only real if and only if it's material.
Having that Irishman.
Do you
Get a new
believe
drink.
that?
I don't know.
Wash it out, wash it out, wash
Get
it
the
out.
view clear.
Sure,
that
yeah.
we're
So there can
talking
be real
about.
things, even if we don't have a specific definition, there can be real things that aren't material.
Yeah, concepts.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, got it. So rights are a concept.
Yeah, they are a concept, but they are real. Because
But in the sense that
non-material
concepts,
real
yeah, in the sense that concepts are real.
right, just like your feelings are real, just like your thoughts, your dreams
Yeah,
are real.
I would feel bad for being a woman
And
who does
concepts change.
rideshare or
Just like rights.
who's a truck driver for 12 hours.
The concepts themselves, yeah, the way that
Or
people
more.
think of things, yeah. Those
Yeah,
things
so,
can change. Sure.
okay.
We are
So we've
audio and
established
video
that
recording
rights
this
are
ride
just
for your
concepts.
safety.
Concepts can be real. I'll just agree in that sense because, again, it doesn't really matter, I guess, in this particular context. So,
That was
when I say
yesterday.
Duty.
Silly
Duty
goose.
you'd have to exist, or you'd have to admit is also real then. as a
St. Patrick's Day
concept.
was yesterday,
What
right?
do you mean by duty?
Today's Tuesday?
Obligations that you have absent entitlements, and others classify rights as being entitlements you have absent.
Today's Monday or Tuesday?
So you said a duty is an obligation absent
I don't even know.
an entitlement?
Yeah.
And then you said that, what was the second?
That for a right, it would be an entitlement absent a duty.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't actually see any duties women have. Is there? None. Like no actual duties.
Duties to what?
Anything.
You don't, like, in a moral sense?
My
or-
tired puzzle? My legs are fatigued.
So I see a lot of entitlements.
And I'm a little upset.
Entitlements.
If you were watching my,
You have a right to
My
vote.
FedEx
No duty to vote.
video today,
Right to own a gun, no duty to own a gun.
we were on the road at like 9:30 at the latest. And I was technically done by, I technically was done by 3:30. Like noon, I get a phone call. Hey Nathaniel, I hate to do this to you, man, but you're the closest one to the route. But we have a driver. He said he had to leave early. Blah blah blah. Like, get the fuck out of here. Pick up at Target. It was fucking 225 boxes that I had to scan and load in my truck at 4:30, and it took me an hour and a half to get back to the facility. 1 second, someone's calling me.
Clear on that term duty, being an
Scam
obligation
hard.
absent entitlement. What you're saying is that, you know, somebody should act or needs to act, right, without being giving anything to act?
No, you could be given orders to act. That could be
No,
considered
that's not
duty.
what I'm saying.
This fake.
Okay, maybe there was some miscommunication there, but something that, you know, you should do whether or not you're rewarded for it or something.
Sorry,
like that. Is
YouTube.
that
I didn't mean to
something
say
like
that.
What you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
I mean, I did mean to say it, but I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah, some
My bad,
obligation, absent
YouTube.
entitlement to perform X action.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm losing weight, and that's good.
Yeah, that's not a perfect
And,
definition, but I think it's like a workable
sorry, I got
for the purpose of the conversation.
My nose hair, I can feel.
Okay, so you think that, women don't have any duties, but they do have...
Like, it's not terrible. You definitely have
I
to
think men have duties.
be prepared.
Can we get clear on if you're making a descriptive...
Like, I have a warehouse utility belt that I wear.
Descriptive.
along my
Okay, so
thoracic
you think that men
lumbar.
have duties and women don't?
Definitely need
And
that.
then you think that women have rights and men
It's,
don't
I mean,
have rights, or they
it's
do?
fine.
I think that women
I'm
have
guaranteed $200, so no matter
So
what.
this would come down to my argument.
And once
for
it's, if
conscription.
it's past 150 drop-offs, which we
Men
did
have
100
an
and
obligation to
we did like 138, and we did really well as far as time.
Women have no such obligation or duty to do so.
What really sucks is the beginning, because you have like all these floor boxes that are just in the way.
Be drafted. So I would
And,
consider that to be an extra right that women have.
Just trying to knock them off as fast as possible.
Because they are, they actually have to sign up and be conscripted during wartime.
Okay, sure.
And absent wartime.
Okay, so this is argument.
But, yeah, I was a little upset, 'cause I would've been
because
done-
they have to go to the draft
I would have been
and
home and
then
done
go
by like
February
5
15th.
o'clock at
This
the
is an
latest.
argument for materialism. I'm just
And
expressing
instead
that
we're on the road right now
we move away
doing
from a
DoorDash.
duty-based society for women. There's no, I can't think of any actual obligations that women have as far as duties to society.
But
I
hopefully we
think
can do that,
actual
everything that we just done
obligations
already.
that men do have still as a duty to society. And so it seems that women themselves
Even Monday was fucked.
more rights in modern
Monday was
society
fucked
than
up,
men
too.
do. And
They gave me
also
routes that were that was
that,
30 minutes away from where I was supposed to go.
movement
And I don't know.
towards
I
the
feel like
idea
they're trying to
of
screw me over on
rights
purpose.
comes
Just fucked up,
So,
man.
everything seems to start.
Everything just
revolve
fucked up.
around I want me.
There was a guy doing the routes, doing drop-offs, doing deliveries.
Okay, sure.
And-
I'm not sure. Maybe we could get more clear on materialism there.
For some reason, I was doing his routes for
I had 4
pickups.
people voting. I think
And luckily I caught him because he had already had 2 packages. He had 2 packages that he wasn't supposed to grab because they weren't on a scanner, but he just assumed that that was his job. And I'm like, why would you even do that? I didn't tell him, but like, if it's not on your tablet, why would you even do that?
Stuff in replacement for
Like, the only reason why you would do that is
like, for instance,
you had it on your scanner. I'm not going to grab something that
concepts of God,
isn't on my
country,
scanner.
of nation, of state.
The truck sucks. The stereo doesn't work.
Okay,
It's
so
dirty.
Materialism, from what you're defining, is that
Like,
material goods can be
Not
filled.
dirty as in
Okay, this has
bottles
to do
and
what was
just
the-
random garbage. No, like, it's actually dirty.
What feminism has moved
Actually
forward
dirty. I'm like, how?
materialism,
How is it so dirty in here?
then,
It makes no sense.
Duties would be this idea of
And I'll use other people's
do
box
things
truck
outside.
on Saturdays and Sundays, and they would just have.
Feels good.
I don't know if you guys ever been like a U-Haul, but you know how there's like those steps.
Get this stuff.
This dude had like, no joke,
Right,
like 10 bottles of
I think that people
Gatorades
should
in
do
water
things Because I
bottles.
think it would have good
Just at the
outcomes.
bottom of the
Like,
step.
I think that
And he
people
just
should
pushes
vote
it to the
because I
side.
think
Like,
that
why would you do that?
helps them pursue good
Why?
goals
It's
more.
disgusting.
And I think that people enjoy freedom.
I don't
think
get
it's
it.
good for people's well-being is to have personal
Doesn't
freedoms.
seem to be. It seems to be
I don't
that
get
limiting
that shit.
people's personal freedoms is pretty good for their well-being.
It seems okay. Well, in some senses you would agree with that. Some senses you wouldn't. I assume.
Yeah, and so there
Right.
you can make delineation thresholds, but
I keep saying the word.
Everybody voting has been a disaster. It's been terrible.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that by everybody being able to collectively vote rather than people at stake in the system, what's been able to happen is that the
Put myself on this dating app.
by the collective
And the
power
fucking
of
Transformers.
So what happens is
Oh, I'm a female.
creating-
I'm a female. Like me, I'm a female.
They get the voting blocks
I'm
against
better
each other.
looking. I'm
And
just as
all
good
of
looking
the
as a regular
these
female.
various blocks are trying to
Get
create
the
every
fuck
section
out of here. No one wants to date you.
every single block that I can think of.
Mental ass disorders. Mental disorders.
Right, but presumably you think.
Mental-
some
I don't
people
care
that
if they
work
shadow
towards
ban me
it
right now.
good, and two, you think
That's
that
just fucking
generally
disgusting.
There's also good outcomes.
I don't want a fucking tranny. I want a fucking pussy
There's generally not.
where I can finger and put my dick inside. That's what I want. I don't want no fucking dick or ooh, you do it.
Just answer the
Like,
question.
so
I would say
fucking
that
disgusting,
I'm not
man.
saying-
What is this world coming into? Gays and lesbians, that's as far as we should go. even though it's still bad. But for you to have a mental disorder to go that far where you got to identify as a different thing that you're not, is cutting in and out. It might be the area. I'm in like the boondocks right now. I'm in the suburbs of the boondock. Just gross. I don't want that shit in my life. That's fucking disgusting. Ugh. Oh yeah, just gross.
You think that it's generally good, just prima facie good, to protect individual
baby.
freedoms, right? Like people.
To a degree.
Well, I think I can probably give you infinitely many cases where you would say it's good to protect infinite
I think I can give you
personal
infinitely
freedoms.
many cases in the opposition where you would think it was really good to limit them.
Probably not in the real world. Like I can take, for example, okay, you waking up and breathing this morning. That's a right that's a personal freedom that should be
You
protected.
waking up and owning
I got
a
catfish
that
one
personal
time.
right that should be protected.
That's gonna hit.
And I picked them up from work.
That's gonna be something.
And they're like, oh, I just got to change.
I don't-
We are
I'm like, oh, okay.
audio,
Whether or not
As soon as
you
they went in their
try,
apartment, I
you
waited
know,
like
whether
10,
or
15
not
seconds. I was
think
counting.
that's a right that
I was
should
like,
be
1,000,
protected
2,000.
is gonna hinge on
15,000?
empirical
Gone.
data. So,
I dipped so
whether or not that
fast.
causes
How about a
more bad
nuke? Can I own a
outcomes.
nuke?
We're headed to McDonald's, $5.
Yeah, probably. So you want to limit that.
5 miles.
Right.
What about
We're,
a battleship with like
about 2 miles away, so it's
that
worth-
did it like 360 turnstile, just mowing.
How's the pay?
everything down. I should probably not have
At
that.
FedEx?
Right, or hand
I get paid $200 flat.
Those are instances that
Up to
don't
150
happen.
routes, so
Talking about
150
literally from
drop-offs.
you breathing to you sitting at the table
And
to
then
holding
anything
pens
more
to
than
your
that
shirt to
is a
you
dollar
being in the
is a
studio
dollar
to you
drop off.
in America.
Long
To you
term,
being able to drink water.
it'll
All
end
of
up
those things
being
are
just a
personal
$4
freedoms, and you
$4
believe all of
per
those
route.
things should be protected, and there's probably less
$4
of those
per
like
route.
insane scenarios.
Is breathing's not a right? What do you mean? You don't have a right to breathe.
And that's where you want to be. You want to be at $4 per route. Because if you do 100 routes,
Right to it.
Right, but you have a right to life.
$4
and
per
stuff
route?
from breathing.
Do you have a right to life, or do you have a
Sheesh.
concept that you have a right to life?
but I enjoy it
Yeah,
because the only time I'm using my gas
So the
is
idea
doing
is
this.
the concept.
And that is
Yeah, I'm
only
not
time I
sure
use
that people
gas.
have a right to life.
And-
Like, if you steal my TV, I don't think right to life.
well, sure, those rights can be overridden. Those
You
are
know how to
like
stop, sir?
overriding
You know how to
considerations.
fucking stop?
That's why.
Are you in a Tesla?
There's not
You don't
really
know how to fucking
the
stop?
concept here.
You need a rolling
right,
stop
the
and then
change.
I don't know.
Because the
Get 'em,
concept
cop.
itself is
Just
flawed.
cop
The
her. Get
idea
'em.
of rights themselves
Idiot.
are flawed. So
Yeah,
when you're talking
$4 a
about,
route is what you want to be up
like
to.
First Amendment right or something
So
like
they're
this,
called
when you're talking about
contingent
freedoms
workers.
in general.
I think anyone that's
Yeah,
doing
I
gig
think
work
that
right now,
we
I
have all
recommend
sorts
it.
of duties which are
Yeah, it's a
outside of rights
physical
all the
toll,
time.
just a little bit.
Right.
The
so
first week you'll be
if you have to
fatigued,
make the case that this
but I
is one of
mean,
those
it gets
instances
easier
where
and
you should
easier.
override
I mean,
somebody's
like
rights.
today,
So when
Yeah, so
like I
you
said,
know
I got there at
what's
8:30.
No, no, no,
I was on the road by like 9:15, 9:30, and I should have been done no later than 3:30, 4 o'clock. But because I had to wait until 4:30 to do everything, as far as I target pickup. And if you guys watched my live, that shit was ridiculous.
That those things aren't real. Just
And I was
because
like,
they
oh,
can
is
be
this like
real.
from a week's
But I
worth
don't
of
feel
like
for
this?
that.
Oh no, it's just a day.
That
Well,
So
what the fuck?
concepts themselves, right? These things are changeable.
What is
concepts,
it,
right?
225 boxes?
Yeah, they're-
Interchangeable.
And I'm only yawning because I'm
And where does
just
the
like
concept exist? Does it exist in all
exercise
brains?
exhaust.
Does it exist in one
I'm
brain?
not yawning
Well, I
because
think
I'm
that people have different concepts of rights.
tired.
What I am saying though is when people say I have a right to
Just
life,
feel-
they're not.
But
saying
yeah,
I have a
I
right to
recommend
every
it.
single
If
imaginable
you're
possible scenario.
if you're a rideshare
You-
driver,
like, do you know that?
get into FedEx or
Yeah,
UPS
okay,
because
like when you express-
although UPS is a lot more
express
strict,
them precisely so that I know exactly.
like you can't go 5 over.
Okay, sure.
Any traffic law violations, like there'll be times where I'll be at like 5 miles per hour. Like right now I was at 7 and then I made my turn just now at the stop sign.
When people say
So yeah, I'm doing a rolling stop, but I mean, no one really gets pulled over for that. But UPS does not play around with that.
Now you clarify and say, well, when people say X, they really don't always mean X. Like, fair enough. I can grant that that is true, but you didn't really make that
You're
case
not just
before.
granting that it's true, though. Here's what happened, though, is that you said that, well, there's instances where these rights can be overridden, right? So you do recognize that people, when they say...
And then, yeah, I tried to do this. I mean, yesterday was slow. We also started late.
So that's a pedantic way to look at rights.
But that's kind of like my motivation, is to get as done as fast as possible with FedEx.
To categorize the words that you
Oh yeah, I can get right on the road for DoorDash. Like today, we probably would have started at 5:30 for DoorDash at the latest.
But the entire idea here, though, is that these are just concepts. Because they're just concepts, they're very changeable in the human experience as concepts. In single brains, they don't exist. Single brain has to have some variation of the concept, right?
Sure, but people have general, like, agreements on what a concept means, so they can approximate as close as they can. But when somebody says, like I said, they have the right to blank or have the right to breathe, I would think that you know that they're not saying, and also, just to reframe this, because you said it's like, oh, well, when people are saying they're X, you're saying they actually mean Y. No, I'm saying they mean something like X after X, to the right-hand corner.
So actually what?
That's not what I said. I think that's
Well, it can't be X and not X. So it has to be X actually means not X.
Right, but it could be X with like an additional clause that's understood to be true. Like when you have conversations, there are things that you understand.
Yeah, I have a DoorDash for
I think people typically
1 second, 4F7. Do you want me to come inside?
Yeah, just come inside.
Sure.
I guess we're just going to intersect there with that. When people talk, they're typically not talking about some outcome,
He said, yeah, don't be a lazy ass. Get the fuck inside.
to do anything.
He said, don't be a late. Do you hear him? He said, don't be a fucking lazy ass. We're still open.
Sure.
So get your fucking exercise. I'll be right back, guys. My phone's still charging us. I would bring you guys inside, but be real quick.
this ride for your safety.
I did that once. I was like, ah, and this dumb bitch was like, "Did you burp?" I'm like, "No, I just went ah." No, I think you burped. I'm like, "Shut the fuck up, you cunt. Shut the fuck up." Just give me a second. I will take off. I'm trying to find a video of my apartment. Where else would deliver this food? I thought I had a video of my apartment. I'm trying to find a roommate, guys. Trying to find a roommate. There's resistance. That's wild. Alright, let's go deliver this fucking food. Am I on the wrong side? Yes, probably. I don't know. And I don't care. I don't know what I'm doing.
Claims that are made to me that appeal to my values that maybe I'm not aware of, or that I have like conflicting underlying values that I'm not correctly thinking about that. Right. Sorry?
The only thing that make it good is that you did prefer it.
Yeah, there could be something like that.
Right. So then you would be the ultimate.
If I adopted them for my morality, right? Like that would make that thing good to me.
Morality is the only thing that is good, though.
To me.
Well, what else is good except good to you?
So look, I just said that. It's the thing that I am arbiting is my morals, my moral stances.
So then the only way we can have good is if it's good to you.
Yeah, of course.
So then if that's the case, then all things, you are the ultimate arbiter of goodness.
Of my standard of goodness.
There can't be any other standard of goodness.
There is. I agree. Do you think that I am denying that other people have their own standards?
This is circular. I'm
What's
making
circular?
the argument. I don't know why you're not agreeing with it. You only things which are good to you are good.
The things that are good to me are good to
Nothing
me.
else is good except things good except what you.
There could be other people who agree with
That's
the things
not my
that I find to be good.
question.
So
What's
then
my question?
those things are good to me and good to them.
Yeah. But they're only good because they're good to you.
They're only good because they're good to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's things that are good to me, and I can convince other people that they should
No,
also
only
find those things to be good.
Can anything be good unless it's good?
It's right for your safety.
Can I approve of something and not approve of something at the same time? Well, no.
Yeah, right. So then all goodness comes from you.
All goodness come me?
It would
No.
have to.
That my standards of good come from me.
Is there any other standard other than yours which is good?
Relative to me?
No.
Unless it aligns with my idea or value,
Yeah.
then no.
Then you are the ultimate arbiter of goodness.
Of my own.
That's the
What's
only kind that there is. There
No.
is no other kind.
No, there
We've
are-
reduced this like 6 times. It always comes
Look,
back to
if we look
good.
at good as values, right?
Yeah.
I'm not denying that you have values. I'm not denying that Brian has values. I'm not denying that, Joshua down the road has values.
Yeah.
So there are things that are good to those other people. But relative to me, unless they align with my values, they're
Oh,
not
so
good.
then you are a moral relativist.
Look, I'm fine with if you want to call that more
Well,
relativism.
what else would it
that's
be
fine.
when you say it's relative to you is relative to me?
So where does that bring us? Look, if I just say, look, I am a moral relativist, fine,
That
whatever
would be,
you want to call it.
yeah,
what
that
label
would
you
be
wanna put on it.
fantastic. We at least make some headways, because what I'm saying to you is that from a prescriptive claim, then, if it's all just relative, then you can't really say that Islam enslaving women is morally bad. It's just morally.
Drop it off. No, not yet. Just spoke to my lawyer last night, and we're filing our small claims with Lyft, and then we're also gonna be doing it with Uber very shortly. But Lyft is the one I'm taking to court regardless, because no driver should be threatened of their life. But we started 30 minutes ago, and we'll be driving till 11:30. I already showered and had a quick bite, so we're good. I need to grab water though. I need to go back to my place and grab water. I'm not trying to spend money right now. Only money on what we need and not what we want.
Really bad to you, right? And
No, I am
because,
saying that.
and
It is
because
really bad
it's
to me.
and because
Yeah.
you can only say it's bad to you, but because it's relative, right? You can't.
Probably bad to a lot of other
But you
people
just
too,
said,
but it is bad to
but
me.
you just said that it's relative. Like, you can't make the claim really, since it's relative.
What's
Wait,
your
I-
monetary
Yeah,
goal tonight?
it's good.
So
Ultimate arbiter of
technically after
happiness.
tax is
Even
$175.
if
So
I accepted
at least
semantic
$50, because I mean I'm not
ultimate arbiter of
I'm
goodness,
not
which
paying
I
for
would
gas
have
every
that
day
asterisk
anymore.
on the end that, like, my
I eat
values and my goodness.
like beef
I mean,
jerky
that's-
and
that's fine.
dried
That doesn't
fruit
bring
while I'm
us
driving.
anywhere else. I can still look
And,
at people and go, the things that they're doing don't match up with my
and
values, and that to me is
protein
bad.
shakes.
Yeah, but my claim is
Giovanni.
that would have to
Who else?
necessarily be, and at least it seems to be from all the questions you've answered, that if they don't match up with your values, period, that is what is bad, and only things which match up with your values are what is good, and nothing else is good.
To me.
And, well, but
I don't
if it's-
disagree. Do you think
if
that
it's
I
only
think-
focused on you, who else could it be focused on?
Do you think, well, those people have their own values, and to them, things are good.
Uh-huh.
So to them, those things are good. To me, those things are bad, and they don't meet my values.
Okay, got it. So then, when we're talking about duty, right, and here's my claim then, I think that duty to materialism makes things bad. That's my claim. I think that, materialism itself generally makes society worse for people to live in. And so I'm going to try to appeal to your values here and ask you, do you think that materialism itself is good for society? Or do you think it's bad for society? The way that I frame materialism.
Material goods can be fulfilling?
That movement towards materialist goods being fulfilling over other things like duty is bad for society.
I'm not sure what it means to have something like a material good. Maybe you can give me an example of that. A material good being over a duty or something like that, maybe.
A material good being over? Well, so a duty or a value of a duty being some type of conception of a thing that you feel you must do, even if it doesn't give you any sort of pleasure. There's nothing that you gain from this, right? Generally, materialism is the opposition. Pursuit of material things for the purposes of pleasure or fulfillment or something like this, right? These would be the distinct differences. So, duty is not, actualizing some pleasure center necessarily. So, it's an obligation you feel like you have. So, a good example of a duty would be like when you have a child, right? That you're in charge of, let's say you're babysitting or something like that. You have some sort of duty to make sure this kid is fed, even if you have a bad headache, or even if it causes you pain, or even if you don't like doing it, right? The pursuit there is something greater than yourself, not just material goods.
So this is an empirical thing as to whether or not it would be good for society, and it seems like you're kind of
Why would it be
intermingling. Well, I can answer that question, but it seems like you're intermingling the idea of materialism with subjectivism. So if we say like the pursuit of material things is good for society overall versus people believing that they have some duty outside of themselves, outside of their values or something like that?
Yeah, well, what I'm drawing is a contrast between how people lived pre-feminist, which was in smaller societies, smaller communities, where duty was something which was focused and pushed on, versus a modern materialist society, where duty is not a thing which is pushed out at all, not by modern feminists at all. This is the contrast that I'm showing.
What's going on, Ema?
Well, I actually would disagree that, like, feminists, at large or something like that, probably don't say that you would have duties. Like, I think that, like, feminists think that, like,
What's going on, Ema? Where you
women
been?
shouldn't essay other women. I think that they believe that women have that duty, whether or not they're talking like a subjectivist or whether or not they're talking like an objectivist or something like that. I think that they do believe those duties exist. And that is another...
4 hours for 8 miles?
What
No.
they actually believe. But if we're talking about my version of feminism, right? Like, my version of feminism would say, hey, I think that, because of my values, I think that you have reasons to do X, Y, Z. I think you have, reasons to go vote. I think you have reasons to, whatever.
Okay, so I think that it's fair for you to focus on your
Yep, $50 is the goal, Paul.
Start polygoning questions with under your version.
If I make more, great.
It's true, because I'm
Probably will.
Do you, and under your view, then, this
Mondays and Tuesdays are usually the slowest, though.
Ought to have some duties to society.
Some duties in, like, under my worldview, yeah. I think that women should do things that are good for society.
We are delivering Ema, yes.
What?
Yeah, I think women should.
We are.
They should.
We deliver at night. We drop off packages during the day.
Things can be true.
Sure, I'm just asking.
FedEx in the day, DoorDash at night.
Do you think they should do it?
And then once I'm back on Uber and Lyft, it'll be Uber in the AM, and then just FedEx. That'll be it.
Do they have a duty to that?
That
Would
would
I
be
prefer
it.
them to? Yeah. I would prefer them to do both.
I'll probably do DoorDash on the weekends when I'm not working at FedEx. If they want me to have off the 7th day,
Okay, so there's
I'll do Uber until about 6 a.m.
And I guess
and then DoorDash for the rest of the day because honestly, unless there's a huge event going on,
there's a consequence.
Uber's
Yeah, the
usually
same
slow.
types of ones that men have. So if you have a child and you don't
We
take
are
care of it.
Well, I'm not
you
delivering
have
packages, I'm
a
delivering
legal
food.
duty to do that. You should be
So you need the food
punished in
emoji,
some way.
not the package.
Okay.
So that's
That was
legal.
earlier. Actually, it got like
So
3,500
they have
views
some ethical duties. What about society?
on that video today.
Well, that would be a typical societal duties. Maybe I'm not clear what you're looking for.
Oh, I'm just looking for like jury duties, a duty, literally, right? As its name
Sure.
implies, that's like a civic duty or
I
a
think
social duty.
they might have a legal duty to do that. Now, do they have like a moral duty? Or are they doing something like
Correct,
violent
right?
to
That's
me,
why I'm looking at,
I'm like,
is there a distinction there between the ethical and the civic duty? So I'm just asking, what duties do you think women socially should have in society?
legally or ethically?
Legal, or, well, both, actually.
Well, those are going to be two different answers, right? Like,
Well, let's start with legally.
okay, sure, yeah. I mean, it could be things like legally, I think people should be held to go to jury duty. Legally, I think that people should be, prosecuted for crimes. I think they have a duty not to commit crimes against other people, and that's both an ethical and a legal one. But the ones that apply to men generally too, so I'm not sure what this question is getting at.
Do men have a duty to protect women?
Sure.
Okay.
I think people have a duty to protect other people when they can.
Do women have a duty to protect men?
Yeah, when they can.
When they can, as they can. Okay.
Of course.
And this makes society good, right?
Yeah, I think people protecting people, it makes a society good.
Okay. Do women have a duty to not be promiscuous?
To not be promiscuous? What do you mean by promiscuous?
Have sex with lots of different partners.
That I'm not sure of. I don't know if people would probably say that. I'm not sure. The answer was I'm not sure.
You're not sure if they have that duty?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they have a duty to society to not, sleep with multiple partners.
Do they have a duty not to do sex work?
That one would hinge on some empirical facts, like maybe if it costs
$9 for
negative
9
outcomes
miles.
or something like that.
$9 for 9
then
miles.
Maybe, like, the
with
benefits
these.
didn't override those negative outcomes. That might be one reason.
I can't
would
read
say,
your
like,
message right now,
Okay,
Ema.
well,
Give me a moment.
They do have a duty not to do sex work.
Do they have a duty
Give me
to
a
save
moment,
their
Ema.
husband, even,
1 second.
against their own happiness? for
No,
the
1
sake of
second.
children?
I would probably say
A minute.
no in a lot of cases.
Give me a minute.
Why not?
Because I think that it infringes on people pretty severely when you're in a scenario like that. I mean, there could be some negative outcomes for kids. Once again, that would be an empirical claim. That, like, the answer to that would
I need you to make a
some
delivery
empirical
for
facts.
me.
So if I
What?
were to give you empirical
Can I carry it all
facts,
day?
and of course, during this little 2-hour debate, it's going to be impossible for you to go through any
What is
empirical
that
data. I
supposed to
would give
mean,
you
Ema? Are you hitting on me, Ema?
wide overview,
Ema, are you
right?
hitting
But
on
if
me?
you were given facts that if women did stay with their husbands,
Ema, are you trying to
even
slide
if
in the
they,
DMs right now?
fell out of love with him, they didn't really like him that much anymore, right? Or they really just didn't want to participate in marriage.
I gotta use
but
that.
They had children with him, right?
I need you to make a delivery
For children were way better
for
if they
me.
stayed, even if it was at the expense
But
of
I can carry it all day.
Would you then advise women to stay?
That depends on how much of a toll on their happiness it would take. I think falling out with loved ones.
So
Nice.
it takes a big toll on their happiness.
I'm not sure that that's something I can give you an answer to, whether or not they have like some ethical duty.
Guys,
to do.
Ema's naughty.
That's
She's a naughty
that
person.
It's probably going to be a case by case thing. Like I would have to look at, okay, well, how miserable is this person staying with this person, and how much of a benefit is it going to give their kids, and do they have access to the knowledge of how much benefit it will give their kids to stay?
So you don't know if they.
I think in the general.
Only
case,
if you know how to cook,
it's
Ema.
to say,
Only
because I
if you
think
know
the
how to
type
cook.
of, things that lead to divorce are
If you know how to
pretty
cook
severe,
and stay in the kitchen, then yes.
I'm sorry.
It's the same.
Severe usually.
My Instagram is the same as my YouTube channel.
Divorce or reconciling differences or not.
Midnight_new.
It's not even money. It's just falling in love. They just don't like this person. They don't like their habits.
What is it?
Things like this.
Well, I'm not sure.
Christia
I'm not sure falling
Sweet.
in love is always reconcilable. In fact,
Let me do some investigation.
It's not asking it to reconcile.
Because if you're a dude, I ain't following
Stay
you.
with their husband for their children, for the sake of their children, because their children get far more desirable outcomes if they do.
Right, but I think
What?
that there's probably something
The-
like empirically there. Like there's probably a lot of distress that it causes somebody to stay with somebody that they don't love and to not pursue somebody that they would in fact love.
I agree, it causes them distress. That's what
Right.
duty does, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes
so
you have
I'm
duties
just
to
making
things
an
which cause you
estimate.
distress. Yeah.
I'm just making an estimate that no, they probably wouldn't have an obligation to do that.
Yeah, you've dove into the stats.
What
there,
the-
So you know probably that.
Why do you have so many followers? I mean, why do you follow so many people? Are you even real?
Abusive
I have to do
children
more-
is in the home of single mothers.
I don't think you're a real
where
person.
that usually comes from.
Where the abuse from single mothers comes from?
I don't appreciate the scammers. Hold on. Or
Single mothers.
I don't think. I don't know, Ema. I don't know. I have to take you through the... I don't know. I don't want your secret Instagram. I don't care. I'm not looking for sending you money. I'm not doing that. Don't be trying to trap me into sending you money. I get girls that message me all the time. Oh, I want to see you, but can you pay for my gas? I'm like, what the fuck? Who do you think I am? I'm looking for a traditional wife. I'm looking for a virtuous woman. I'm not spending money on anyone besides myself. I don't know, Eva. There's some concerns I have.
Lemonade Pet Insurance is none of those things. It's an easy way to take care of your pet's health
not looking for
without
money.
worrying about how much it costs.
Who was looking
Okay.
for virtue in a partner.
Why are you half naked on your frickin' Instagram?
So they have a duty to vote.
And why do
Should
you
there be
follow more people than follow you?
If they don't vote.
No.
That doesn't happen in the history of
so
women.
There's no enforcement of any duty there.
No legal consequence, no.
Okay, so then I guess what duty should women have where there's an enforcement behind it? Like you don't do this duty, there's a
I don't
consequence.
know.
Yeah, the same types of ones that men have. So if you have a child,
I'm not
and
saying you're lying.
don't take care of it.
But
in
also I'm not
marriage,
saying that you're
I
telling
think
the
that you have
truth,
a legal duty to do that. You
because-
should be punished in the same way that a man should be.
Just concerned about adding people
That's
from
one
YouTube.
example.
Okay, so...
Because the last
they
person
have
I added from
some
YouTube,
What
they
about
don't stop
societal
bothering
duties?
me.
Well, that would be a technical.
They don't
societal
stop
duties.
bothering
Maybe
me.
not clear what you're looking for.
Oh, I'm just looking for...
I'm not saying that you
jury
would.
duty's a duty, literally, right? As its name
Sure.
implies. That's
I
like a
just have some
civic duty.
concerns
They
about
have- they
people
might
on
have a legal
YouTube.
duty to do that. Now, do they have like a moral duty? Are they doing something?
I have to be
like
really careful on who I talk
There's
to.
a distinction there between the ethical and the civic duties. So I'm just asking, what duties do you think women
Just give it some time, you know.
Socially
Let me
should
warm
have
up a little
society.
bit with you,
legally
you
or
know.
ethically?
legally?
Let me warm up a
Well,
little bit.
both,
Like I
actually.
said, I'm not saying
Well, those
yes,
are
I'm
gonna
not
be
saying
two
no.
different answers, right? Like,
Well,
I
let's start with legally then.
Just give me some time,
Sure,
okay?
yeah. I mean, there could be things like legally. I think
'Cause I
people
don't know.
should be held to go to jury duty.
Like, why don't you have
I
any
think that
posts?
People, should be, prosecuted for crimes. I think they have duty not to commit crimes.
Do you have
against
like,
other
do you have
people.
reels?
And that's both an ethical and a legal one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have reels on your Instagram? Because I'm gonna find out. If you're lying to me, I'm gonna find out. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a female question. What type of feminine products do you use? Tell me the list of feminine products you use, and that'll justify if you're a female or not. Because I have sisters, I know.
We are audio and video recording this ride for your safety.
Yes, I am. Nope, feminine products. Nope, feminine products. What type of feminine products do you use? I gotta know if you're a woman or not. Because some of these dudes on here, they be acting wild. They be trying to act like a female. I gotta put you through the test. Be more specific. When it comes to female body parts, what is the name of the product you use? And I'll give you 30 seconds. When it comes to cleaning your woman part, what is the name of the cleaning product you use? What is it called? You got 25 seconds. $15. Embarrassing? What are you talking about? Why is it embarrassing? Oh, all right. There we go. That's how you know. That's how you know. Here, I'll do you a favor. I'll do you a favor. I'll do this for you. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. At least, see? No man would know that in 30 seconds. I don't think any man would know that in 30 seconds. What? No through traffic, but we're going through it. I'm a mess? Of course I'm a mess. I gotta do more investigation about you. That's how you guys know if they are a transformer and they aren't truthful about it. That's how you guys know. You ask them what product they use. That's how you know, because no guy would know that unless the guy was super speedster on typing what it is. But I mean, your profile seems real. You've been on YouTube for 11 years. You gotta do all this investigating because you just can't trust the real world. Can't trust no one these days.
Not sure if they have that duty.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they have a duty to society to not, sleep with multiple partners.
Do they have a duty not to do sex work?
That one would hinge on some empirical facts, like maybe if it caused like a lot of negative outcomes or something like that, and maybe like the benefits didn't override those negative outcomes. That might be one reason why I would say like, okay, well, they do have a duty not to do sex work.
Do they have a duty to stay with their husband even against their own happiness for the sake of their children?
I would probably say no in a lot of cases.
Why not?
Because I think that infringes on people pretty severely when you're in a scenario like that. There could be some negative outcomes for kids. Once again, that would be an empirical claim. That, like, the answer to that would hinge on some empirical facts.
So if I were to give you empirical facts, and of course during this little 2-hour debate, it's going to be impossible for you to go through any of
marriage anymore, right? Or they really just didn't want to participate in the marriage, but they had children with him, right? And we saw the outcomes for children were way better if they stayed, even if it was at
So
the
this is a
expense
$9
of
drop off for Wendy's.
Would you then advise women to stay?
That depends on how much of a toll on their happiness it would take.
I got a free drink out of it.
Let's say it takes a big toll on their happiness.
I'm not sure that that's something I can give you an answer to, whether or not they have like some ethical duty to do. That is probably going to be a case-by-case thing. Like I would have to look at, okay, well, how miserable is this person staying with this person, and how much of a benefit is it going to give their kids, and do they have access to the knowledge of how much benefit it will give their kids to stay?
So you don't know if they...
I think in the general cases they don't have an obligation to stay, because I think the type of things that lead to divorce are pretty severe, and in a lot of
It's
cases
usually irreconcilable differences, not severe.
I'm sorry?
Like, I don't think it's severe usually, actually. I think the things that lead to divorce or irreconcilable differences are not abuse, and it's not even money usually. It's just falling out of love. I just don't like this person, or I don't like their habits anymore, things like this. But
I'm not sure. I'm not sure falling out of love is always reconcilable. In fact, that sounds kind of
not asking
trying to force yourself to love
not
someone.
asking it to reconcile and fall back in love, but whether or not they have a duty to stay with their husband for their children, for the sake of their children, because their children get far more desirable outcomes if they do.
Right, but I think that there's probably
Get the fuck out of here, AD. We don't need that bullshit.
Like there's probably a lot of
We don't need that
somebody
bullshit.
to stay with somebody that they don't love, and to not pursue
Are
somebody
you
that they
smoking
would
weed?
in fact love.
Does it look like I'm fucking smoking
That's what
anything?
duty does, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes
so
you have
I'm
duties
just
that
making
they
an
don't
estimate.
insurance, yeah.
I'm just making an estimate that no, they probably wouldn't have an obligation to do that.
Yeah, you've dove into the stats then, so you know probably that when it comes to abuse of children inside of the home of single mothers, are you aware of where that usually comes from?
Where the abuse from single mothers comes from?
For the children.
Sorry, I'm not
Children,
sure what
the
question
children
is.
in single mother homes, or the abuse rates that happen to them, do you know where that usually comes from?
You might just have to get the answer. I'm not sure what.
Okay, so here, easy. Kid gets abused inside single mom home. Who usually abuses them?
I would assume the parent or other siblings.
No, it's usually, see, in these cases, it's most often step-parents in single mother homes.
Okay.
Right, puts them far more prone for abuse and for all sorts of different things. Now, this isn't to say that step-parents are bad, because they're not, right? There's tons of great step-parents out there. Nobody's making that claim. Only that if you are with your biological partner, right, or the parent, the biological parent of the children, that the rates of abuse drastically decrease inside those homes for those children, period. Even if the parents stay and they're out of love with each other, they don't even really like each other. You see this often in religious marriages, religious institutions, where they'll stay on behalf of the children. The children's outcomes are generally speaking far better.
Really quick, in 5 minutes, we're gonna probably do a prompt change,
We are
and then
audio
we're
and
gonna
video
read
recording
some
this ride
chats.
for your safety.
Okay.
Yeah, so continue, but in 5 minutes, we're gonna let a couple chats come through.
Okay.
Sure. How long have we been on?
About over an hour, just a bit over an hour.
Jesus.
Yeah, it takes a long time just to untangle worldviews. It does.
Yeah.
There's nothing you
No,
can do
trust
about
me,
I
it.
can stick on feminism for a bit longer, but in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
gonna
yeah. No
do a
problem.
little break.
I need to have a smoke anyway,
Okay,
so that's all
we
good.
have some Zen coming too.
Good.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah. So the problem there is I think there would probably be a data collection problem there. When you have people who are remarried, it's probably easier for kids to report that a step parent is committing abuse versus a biological parent. A child might be more trusting of their biological parents, especially if they're still together. There might be covering up of abuse that's occurring, so that I might have some issues with like gathering that data and actually coming to like a conclusion there. But I would say that from
So would something like multiple meta-analyses on that data do something to assuage your doubts?
meta-analyses on the data that says that
Step-parents are more prone to abuse than the biological father.
sure, I mean that's fine, but there once again I would need to see that data. I'd have to go through it, see what kind of methodological problems exist there, because I would suspect that the abuse would go a lot less reported, because that's something that you can't account for. If a kid's not going to report it, the kid's not going to report it. But you can make an inference and say, like, okay, well, kids are typically more trusting. Kids come out years later and say, hey, my biological parents abused me and I never told anybody. and sometimes they don't even tell teachers.
Well, I mean, a lot of these studies are they're going.
Buy me a fish and rice and walk around like baby.
So is the meta-analysis.
Sure, that doesn't get rid of the problem.
Do you guys use your blink error?
Some of those problems, but it doesn't get rid of all of them. I agree.
Not the data collection, not the issue. It doesn't make that type of problem go away.
Which
Why
type,
would gathering
which type of problems?
I remember
the
back
problem
when
of abuse being covered up or children being more trusting of biological parents?
So that could be the case. I was just talking when you were saying like children could come out later and discuss abuse rates or something like that. It's like, yeah, that's true, but one way that you could compensate for that is to have longevity in your study, following the same people and getting back with them 20 years later or whatever, so that you could make these determinations. So that would be one way that you could compensate.
Sure, and it might still not fully compensate for it, though. If that person still is more trusting of their biological parent.
Yeah,
so it doesn't fully get rid of that.
I don't disagree. I was just saying that here there is some things that you could do, but I agree, right? But I would say that a meta-analysis, multiple meta-analysis, that would at least be something you'd look at.
I want to make it clear, the claim that I'm disputing isn't necessarily that step-parents don't abuse their children more than biological parents do. That could be very well true. But what I'm saying is, one, we do have an issue finding that out. We have an issue of children trusting their biological parents more. But we also have the issue of sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm really thirsty. That might be a good time for a break, but we do have that methodological issue. Over time, it doesn't really get rid of it, though, if children still trust their biological parents more. And it could be the case, like, parents are covering it up for the other parent, whereas they wouldn't cover it up for, like, a new spouse or something like that. Or they might cover it up to keep the family together. That could also be a case that I would say would cause a lot of issues collecting that type of data.
Okay.
And those reasons the abuse might still not outweigh the type of harm done to the person staying with the person they don't want to be with.
All right.
Andrew, you get to stay just while the chats come through, and then I'll go over some other things just for a little smoke break.
Sure.
Firstly, I'm going to let some of these chats come through. Guys, if you do want to get a chat in at this moment, you can do so via streamlabs.com/whatever. Read is $100 and up. One quick question for you, and some people in the chat were commenting, are the glasses prescription?
They are.
Okay.
Yeah, they are.
They are casting a bit of a
glare? Oh, my
So
God.
if you can...
I don't know, maybe if I need to clean them or something?
No, I think it's just the natural.
Sure, yeah, they are prescription.
Okay, so you do.
Will be blind,
okay,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Then keep them on. All right, I'm gonna let the chats come through. We have
KK 1213 donated $100.
That's
Are
fucked
the
up.
glasses functional, or are they intended to make you seem more intelligent? Because the latter ain't working. Sorry, missed the last streams. Had to work.
They all gotta work, man.
Yeah, no, they're totally fake. I'm just wearing them to look intelligent.
Thank you, KK. We have Lucas here. He says your incitement of violence argument against the Confederate flag is garbage. You're conveniently omitting the part that use of the flag has to be directed to inciting imminent violence. Continued where he says, just one moment, while we're waiting for a second one to come up, where he writes, in other words, the use of the flag has to be intended for the purpose of violence, and the violence has to be imminent. That is right away. See Brandenburg v. Ohio. And, oh, by the way, I'm a lawyer. I don't know if you want to respond to that, or...
I mean, there's not much to respond to. I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that just isn't clear.
Okay. Oh. It is
Clay donated $200.
Thank you, Clay.
Pretty sure you could have paid a tree to make her same argument. All hail xenomorphs. Andrew, I owe you a bottle of red breast having to deal with this. She does not even understand the arguments.
She's done better than most of them come on. What do you think? She's done pretty good.
We have Ogle here.
She's at least engaging. She's only done the tone policing a couple times. So, that's pretty good.
And thank you, Claim, for that. Ogle coming in here. Thank you, Ogle.
Ogle_blue.net donated $200. A+ debate tonight.
See? Ogle
the
likes
guest
it.
for once is giving Andrew some strong opposition and can keep up with him intellectually. One question, do champagne pop donors work in the debate series? Half bottle each.
I'll leave it up to the two panelists.
Yeah, send in the champagne pop. She doesn't have to have any, but I'll drink
some champagne if they pop the ball for us. Okay, Ogle, that's very kind of you, Ogle.
Appreciate it.
And Ogle, we do have the
Where the fuck is your
champagne
apartment?
bottle option. We do have the ETH champagne bottle option for a bottle of Cristal. So Those are the two options available. We have Super Korean here, and he writes, don't vegans have a moral obligation to not only exterminate all invasive species, lionfish, python species, feral hogs, etc., but consume them to prevent them from destroying native species? And you're a vegan, right? So
Yeah. That's a position some vegans take. That's not a position I hold to.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that is it for the chats. Andrew, if you want to take your smoke break,
take a quick smoke.
And I'll go over a couple things, and just while you're gone smoking. So, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, if you're enjoying the debate, and you want to ask a question, you can do so at streamlabs.com/whatever. Read is $100 and up. Also, guys, if you are enjoying the stream, like the video, please. And those of you watching on YouTube, if you could do us a massive favor, go to twitch.tv/whatever.
We are audio and video recording this ride for your safety.
On Prime account, check if you have a Prime sub available. If you've never done that before, through Twitch and through Amazon, you can link your Amazon Prime account to Twitch, and it becomes a really quick, free, easy way to support the show every single month. And you can also drop a Prime sub even when we're not live. So if you're watching this back on another platform and you want to support the show, you can drop a Prime sub even when we're not live. That's twitch.tv/whatever. Also, guys, very important, discord.gg/whatever. Andrew, who just stepped out for a smoke break on our last stream, was attacked. He was assaulted. You could even say he might have been battered, depending on your examination of criminal statutes in the state of California. So that's our Discord, discord.gg/whatever. You'll note there, we had a individual in the red dress there. She walked up menacingly, very menacingly, walked up to Andrew Wilson, got in his face, shoved his chair. It was probably, maybe there's a criminal act there, I don't know. I got the behind the scenes POV from my cell phone. She proceeded to refuse to leave after we asked her repeatedly. I had to trespass her. The police called us. It was a whole thing. She proceeded to say some very unsavory things to me and Andrew behind the scenes that weren't caught on our live stream. So if you're interested, you can join discord.gg/whatever. But if you do want to see that behind the scenes clip, the POV that I took of the attacker Andrew and the kick out, you can join our Discord. That's discord.gg/whatever. And yeah, that was pretty wild. I'm going to be also posting a different angle of it. We have security cameras all over the studio that'll kind of capture a better angle of the push or the shove towards Andrew. So I'm probably going to get that posted either tonight or tomorrow, the security camera footage of the attack on Andrew Wilson by that individual. So be sure to check that out. Also, check the debate, the stream. You can go to debateuniversity.com. It's of course on how you too can learn how to become a master debater, like our two debaters here. They're both master debaters, and they're fantastic at it, and they do it all the time, sometimes multiple times a day. Also, if you guys are enjoying the stream, oh, sorry, did you want to? Yeah, the restroom just over there and to your left. Andrew's almost done with his cigarette. Guys, if you're enjoying the stream and you want 100% of your contribution, do I look sunburned? What is going on? I don't know, something with our lighting. I'm not this red, I promise. If you're enjoying the stream and you want to support the show so we can continue, you know, we flew and there to come do this debate. If you want to see more debates, you want to support the show, you can do so also via Venmo and Cash App. 100% of your contribution will go towards the podcast and facilitate us and enable us to continue doing these kinds of debates. I'm going to shout some of you out if any of you want to get any in right now who have sent in. So via Cash App, Colin sent in 15, thank you. MC Rocker, thank you for the 12. Camden, thank you for the 10. He says, please tell Andrew what's up. Anthony's, thank you for the 5. And Carlos, thank you for the 20 via Cash App. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And that is whatever pod on Venmo and Cash App. Like I said, so YouTube takes 30% if you send in a super chat. If you send in 100, they're taking 30, leaving us with some quick maths here. 70, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's how. I just had quick maths. It's been a while, you know, since I took algebra. So yeah, you can do so through Venmo. We'll shout you guys out at various intervals. KA, thank for the membership. Ray, thank for the membership. We do have our panelists rejoining us at this moment, so do appreciate it, guys. Last reminder, guys, like the video. Also, if you want to send in a Streamlabs message, that's streamlabs.com/whatever. $100 and up. $100 and up. Oh wait, holy crap! Wait. One moment, guys. Lucas, he says, to the gal's credit, she's no dummy, just young and misguided. What is your professional background? Are you in law school? / a lawyer.
I mean, I'm flattered that you think I'm in law school. I'm a
psychologist.
I'd probably make a lot more money if I was in law school.
And then apparently, hold on. Opal is saying, wow, he did send in the Ethereum. Okay, we're gonna follow through this call.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Check if the dress.
Alright, guys. W's in the guys. Can we get some W's in the chat for Opal? He's been a long-time supporter. This show is viewer supported. We wouldn't be able to do the show without the very generous patronage of our viewers. So big thank you to Ogo. Guys, W's in the chat.
They send in super chats.
Yeah, the super chats. And we have, I think we have, right, if you really want to see Andrew just obliterated, tanked, and blasted.
Why do you gotta fly out here, bro?
Perfect. But there's the other champagne pop option too. So okay, Ogo, thank you so much again. I'm gonna get that sorted. And these are some Twitch subs coming through, guys. Again, if you want, that's twitch.tv/whatever for those. I'm gonna get that ball going. So, guys, do you want to continue on feminism, or would you like to switch to? We have the body count discussion.
Yeah, we can
you have a preference on abortion or body count, or just
Do body count.
do body count? Okay, great. So, Ann, it's kind of your position. Do you want to?
People's happiness in their relationships versus like the comparison with the amount of people that they've had intimate relationships with. There tends to be a lot of variation in the long-term happiness or success of a relationship.
Talking marriages?
I'm sorry?
You mean like marriages?
I think the last time I looked at the statistics, it was looking at people who were in marriages. So on the lower end of the spectrum, if you tended to have less bodies, and I believe the number is somewhere between like 1 to 3, you tended to have less successful marriages. And then as those numbers kind of get up a little bit, those are where you kind of it stabilizes. You get like more happy and more successful marriages or relationships. And don't cite me on the marriages thing. It could just be relationships. It's been a while since I've looked at that data. But then on the other end, where you get into the the higher numbers, what people would call more extreme numbers, more promiscuous people, their marriages also tend to be less happy. So on both ends of the extremes, you tend to have less happy marriages, and then somewhere in the middle, you tend to have more happier marriages or relationships. Those relationships are more successful.
Yeah, I think I'm familiar with what you're citing. I think, now, again, don't quote me either because we don't have the data in front of us, but
right.
I believe that this was based around marriage. And now, you're not talking about Pew, you're talking about, I think there's a specific study on that. I just can't think of what it is. I'm sure we can pull it up or have Brian pull it up, but did this account for secular versus non-secular marriages?
For what? Sorry, what was the word?
Secular versus non-secular. So like religious marriages versus non-religious.
I wouldn't know. We'd have to look at the data.
Yeah,
Because
so
once again, I'm not even sure if they were talking about marriages.
Well, can we agree that at least according to modern data and including Pew Research did a bunch on this as well, that people who are in highly religious marriages, they tend to divorce less than people who are not in highly religious marriages?
Sure, yeah. There might be factors that account for that. Like maybe it's looked down upon in their culture to get divorced, even if you're going through something difficult like abuse. Because just to get clear on this, you think that people who are being abused should leave their partner, right?
Depending on severity, not necessarily the first order, but if there's, depending on severity.
Do you think that people who are being physically abused should leave their partners?
Again, it would
Same answer?
It would depend on severity.
Okay, so you think even if there is physical abuse present, that's something?
They're closed, I think. It's closed at 9. Here. Let's check.
We are audio and video recording this ride for your safety.
I had to take a picture because it's closed. And they're like, it's too dark. Can you take another picture? That's because it's fucking closed. Idiots.
Can get drunk.
That food was stolen for sure.
Smack a dude in the back
Because
of the head.
I had
That
a
would be
pretty amount
considered
of
physical
food in there.
abuse, and then just never
Sure.
do it again the rest of her life. I'm not going to tell that woman to like run out on her marriage. I don't. Or
Interesting.
tell that guy like, oh,
Why is it always... Fuck YouTube. Fuck YouTube. It always does that shit. Where I pause it, and then I try to put in a picture,
probably the only person online who shares every single one of my trades completely for free. I live stream on
societal duties. Maybe I'm not clear what you're looking for.
Oh, I'm just looking for, like,
Call it
yeah,
what
that
label
would
you
be
wanna put on it.
fantastic. We at least make some headways, because what I'm saying to you is that from a prescriptive claim, then, if it's all just relative, then you can't really say that Islam enslaving women is morally bad. It's just morally bad to you, right? And
No, I am saying that. It is morally bad to me.
And because
Yeah.
you can only say it's bad to you, but because it's relative,
you're done.
right? You can't.
Probably bad to a lot of other
But you
people
just
too,
said,
but it is bad to me.
But you just said that it's relative. Like, you can't make the claim, really, since it's relative.
Wait,
They're
why?
good to them, it's good to me.
Why?
Well, because otherwise, then just admit you're the ultimate arbiter of all goodness.
Look, that even if I accepted that semantic usage there, that I'm the ultimate arbiter of goodness, which I would add that asterisk on the end, that like, no, I'm the ultimate arbiter of my moral values and my goodness. I mean, that's fine. That doesn't bring us anywhere else. I can still look at people and go, the things that they're doing don't match up with my values, and that to me is bad.
Yeah, but what my claim is that it would have to then necessarily be, and at least it seems to be from all the questions you've answered, that if they don't match up with your values, that is what is bad, and only things which match up with your values are what is good, and nothing else is good.
To me.
And well, but
I don't disagree. Do you think
if
that
it's only focused on you, who else could it be focused on?
Do you think, well, those people have their own values, and to them things are good. So to them, those things are good. To me, those things are bad, and they don't meet my values.
Okay, got it. So then, when we're talking about duty, right? And here's my claim then. I think that duty to materialism makes things bad. That's my claim. I think that, materialism itself generally makes society worse for people to live in. And so I'm going to try to appeal to your values here and ask you, do you think that materialism itself is good for society? Or do you think it's bad for society? The way that I frame materialism.
Material goods can be fulfilling?
That the movement towards materialist goods being fulfilling over other things like duty is bad for society.
I'm not sure what it means to have something like a material good. Maybe you can give me an example of that, a material good being over a duty or something like that. What do you mean?
A material good being over it? Well, so a duty or a value of a duty would be some type of conception of a thing that you feel you must do, even if it doesn't give you any sort of pleasure. There's nothing that you gain from this, right? Generally, materialism is the opposition to the pursuit of material things for the purposes of pleasure or fulfillment or something like this, right? These would be the distinct differences. So, duty is not, actualizing some pleasure center necessarily. So, it's an obligation you feel like you have. So, a good example of a duty would be like, you have a child, right? That you're in charge of. Let's say you're babysitting or something like that. You have some sort of duty to make sure this kid is fed, even if you have a bad headache, or even if it causes you pain, or even if you don't like doing it, right? The pursuit there is something greater than yourself, not just material goods.
So this is an empirical claim as to whether or not it would be good for society, and it seems like you're kind of
Why would it be empirical?
intermingling. Well, I can answer that question, but it seems like you're intermingling the idea of materialism with subjectivism. So if we say like, the pursuit of material things is good for society overall, versus people believing that they have some duty outside of themselves, outside of their values or something like that.
Yeah, well, what I'm drawing is a contrast between how people lived pre-feminist, which was in smaller society.
Cookies.
He's gonna. Hey everybody, welcome back to another watch party where we watch along.
DoorDash for
and occasionally
B02.
make comments
Great.
about what's going on in the show. I got a death to myself. I can hear the yapping in the Discord in my other ear. All right. So we had somebody pay for a song that we're going to go ahead and play now to open the show.
Thank you, everyone.
A classic. One of my favorites. I actually used to think it was called Coon Brain.
13 cookies on the
You can
way.
interpret this any way you see it.
$7. Hey, can you deliver 13 McDonald's cookies for $7? We're 7 minutes from the drop-off. Does Jesus love your dog? I don't care. I don't care if he loves your dog or not. I don't care. You do or don't. I don't care. If it's not a German Shepherd, Husky, or a Golden Retriever, I don't care.
That's great.
Thank you for putting your light
I
on.
love that. Yeah, hopefully. I don't know though. Thanks for becoming a member. Welcome to the
You think I'm in my truck? I'll drop off these 13 cookies. Be right back. Be right back. I want to drive 9 miles for $5? No.
Played both of them on the last stream. Ah, whatever. Fuck it. It's gonna be live. That's why we're doing a walk party. It happens live.
Is viewer-supported heavy YouTube demonetization, so please consider donating through Streamlabs instead of soup chatting, as YouTube takes a brutal 30% cut Nick, can you pull that top one up on StreamYards? It's streamlabs.com/whatever.
Imagine having like a second IRS.
No, let the song finish. Nick, are you gonna walk?
It's in. Never. Okay. We do prioritize messages that are made via Streamlabs to read messages that are developed. We will read those in batches, typically every 30 to 60 minutes. But if you want to interact nearly
Give me a second, dude.
on the conversation at hand, consider sending a TTS, text-to-speech message, TTS.
So for those who ask what the topic is, these are anti-Trump, pro-sex or sex worker, feminine. The topics will likely be anti-Trump, Trump, sex work, and feminine.
Or Cash App. For those in the description, that's going to be whatever color it is. Shout out to we have channel memberships to become a member. Hit the join button. Tier 1 is just fun.
Yo, hopefully, dude, to be honest.
We're also live on Twitch. We're looking at the tab with twitch.tv/.
At this point, I wouldn't mind.
If you have Amazon Prime, you can go to Twitch. Quick for you to support the show every single month. You can also follow us on Instagram. If you can't catch the full shows, we have a channel for that. Is in the description. We do have a Discord. That's discord.gg/whatever.
50-50?
Guys, we post our stream schedule, behind the scenes, hate mail, a bunch of other stuff. Here's our Discord, discord.gg/whatever. And we posted, on Sunday's episode, we posted the behind the scenes of this girl attacking, assaulting, and arguably battering
We are audio and video recording this ride for your safety.
Check who want to weigh in on that as it pertains to California statutes relating to good job. Okay, Discord.
We don't have prompts. We just know what their worldviews are.
I was capturing it, like trying to kick her off. She refused to leave. We almost can you stop talking? We almost had to call the police on her, and she was just saying a bunch of totally unsavory things. So you can see the behind the scenes of that on the Discord. It's discord.gg/whatever. Man, can you take it off the fade?
$13, 5 miles.
Dude, stop. Yes, right click, transition override.
Nick gonna get 5. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, just kidding. All right, so I apologize, guys. The views expressed by the guests do not necessarily reflect the views of the whatever.
Can I get the whole chat to just say, "Fanfish, shut up"?
Actually, do we need to get some introduce themselves? Yeah, why not? Please tell us your name, age, occupation, where you're from, any education, and your political or social leanings. Starting with you, go ahead.
My name is Savannah. I'm 24 from Tucson, Arizona. I am a social worker at a psych hospital, animal rehabber, and I do OnlyFans. And I'm kind of independent in the middle, so.
Okay. All right. What about you?
My name is Honey. I'm 27.
Honey.
I have a mental health care background. I currently work at Bell's Hacienda Ranch.
Oh my.
Career change there. I would consider myself leftist.
What do you do at the ranch?
I'm a legal courtesan, which is the best way that I can say that on YouTube, I believe.
Legal courtesan?
Okay.
So, schmarashtish.
What is that? I don't know what that is.
Prostitute?
A woman of the night.
Yeah.
She's a woman of the
prostitute?
Okay.
A courtesan. Okay.
A courtesan.
Yeah. My name is Andrew Wilson. I'm the host of The Crucible. It's part of an entertainment channel on YouTube.
That's
I'm a
us,
political
boys!
analyst, a political satirist.
Let's go!
Engage in conversations, debates all over the world. I'm happy to have this debate today with you too, so I appreciate you guys coming.
All right. And I'm Brian Atlas, 35, host of the Whatever podcast, washed up, over the hill, has been YouTuber.
Dubs and
That's pretty much
chapter
it for
crew.
me. All right, so I guess we're
crucibilians out there.
Some of our first topics here. You guys seem to have specific disagreements with the podcast, it seems.
Do we?
That was my impression, but
Oh, like me, us with this podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Dating Talk podcast.
Oh, I mean, I did initially, but since the
Oh.
last time I was on, I realized that you weren't that terrible. So
Not that terrible.
Yeah.
Slightly terrible, though.
Yeah.
What are the things I'm terrible about? Or
Uh,
in terms of my views or whatever.
I don't think that you're that bad anymore. I think that just.
Okay, what about this guy
Can
next
you
to me?
speak up a little bit, though?
Nah, brother, I'm just holding it down while my boy is out in
I
California.
guess our disagreements would probably
Crushing
be about
right
the
now.
whole women's voting and some political stuff. I think religion as well. It's kind of hard to disagree on that, but I think we could have a conversation about the morality behind religion.
Sure.
So,
Sure. And then, what about you?
I don't have an issue with either one of you. We've never met or interacted. My initial impression of the podcast was simply through clips I've seen on like TikTok and Instagram, but of course those can always be taken grandly out of context. But after watching a little bit of it, it's way different than I imagined, so
Okay.
I'm happy to be here.
Do you both describe yourselves as feminists?
I've never described myself as a feminist, but yeah, I like women. So
Maybe
I'll
a
say-
quick definition's like feminism would be the movement towards an egalitarian society, deconstructing the patriarchy.
No.
Thank you very much, Donna.
So, do you think women are an oppressed class?
Not in America.
Okay.
I'd have to agree with her, yeah.
Okay.
Not in America.
Not in America.
So you think men and women have perfectly equal rights?
Did Whistling Diesel
Or at
date
least
one of these
women
chicks?
have as many rights as men?
I would say so, yeah.
Same for you?
I don't know if I believe that.
Okay. And you don't categorize either of yourselves as feminists, is that correct?
I would have to say no. There's a lot of corners of modern feminism that don't like me based on what I do for work.
What's
So
that,
that's
Nan?
kind of tough to navigate in itself.
Sex work
We are 2 minutes away from our next pickup.
And
Pick up.
what do you guys think
I don't
about?
even know.
Do you think there is a patriarchy?
She had no
$32.
Oh, really?
I did. I wrote.
Oh, yeah, we can. Sure, we can do
Okay.
that.
All right.
$3.
Okay. I said that I think morality should evolve with society, and I think that empathy is the foundation of a just world, and I think that
Wait a minute.
Trumpism is rooted in division, cruelty, and a lack of accountability. And I think that religion is used to justify harmful and outdated beliefs, especially about women in other countries. And I don't reject the idea of a higher power, but I don't think that a text written by Bronze Age nomads should dictate modern morality. And my stance on politics is about what I believe is right and wrong based on reason and empathy. So I just would like you to consider whether it's truly moral or just convenient for maintaining power when it comes to religion.
I see.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Do you have an opening statement or?
I would keep it very brief. I didn't write anything out. My perspective on
Neither one of these
religion
chicks were on the last show, though.
is that
I don't know what the
actually
hell
find
happened, but it
slightly
said
delusional in
$3.
most senses. I would consider.
Oh, the last
myself
show
an
was
atheist
on.
To keep it
I must have
simple.
missed that or something.
I
Sorry.
actually grew up in the Catholic Church. I know that's a little bit different from Christianity in some aspects.
Thanks for
so
filling
that's
me in there,
totally
TC.
fair.
Appreciate it.
However, I think whether you're questioning or unquestioning in your belief of God in a traditional sense, I personally find it unrealistic, and people don't question it enough. I think delusional is the best way that I can describe it. I'm interested to hear your perspective.
Is she talking about herself?
Because when what I've learned
Delusional,
about
the best way to
just in my
describe it?
research before this, I'm actually really interested to talk to you, and I am coming at this from a non-aggressive, non-argumentative. I hope to portray that at least.
Probably going to get pretty argumentative. Just not going to
And that's okay.
It's
okay.
probably going to be pretty argumentative. You had views on immigration too, right?
I had some, yeah.
Yeah.
I had
Let's
some.
start there.
Yeah, I would like to.
Immigration.
My view on immigration is waving at them as they leave from the tarmac.
Thank you to Ogle who popped a crystal ball for us in our debate just about an hour ago. So
Do it
thank you
again,
again. Thank you again, Ogle. I do
That's
appreciate
Diesel's
your
funny.
patronage.
It shows-
Let's just get into the immigration thing now. What prompted that conversation in your last appearance?
All right, this one's $10.
Nick, are you able to pull up
I don't know how the hell I fucking saw.
Yeah,
I thought I
just
said
on two, so I'm
9 or
not
something.
going to be
About
I thought I
talking
said
too much.
3.
There'll be
I'm like,
less
what the
room for me
fuck?
to
I'm not
kind
picking that up.
of interject or make any comments. So, damn.
Here. On the other monitor, there's going to be a bunch of tweets. Now, if you just minimize the Discord.
Man, no, it's not. Hey, we're just talk
what
shit.
is currently up on the monitor, please?
It's what we do. No, I'm not, James.
Okay, can you minimize the Discord and tell me what you see on the monitor? And then I'll be able to tell you where to navigate to. Sorry, guys. Just Matt, thank you for the soup chat. Do appreciate it. And if you guys are enjoying the stream, like I said,
We shall
it's
see
gonna go
indeed.
TTS read is 100, TTS is 200. Do you have it? Do you have the Discord minimized? Okay, that is definitely not. Can you just pull up the Chrome tab? So remember how
Trying about to do a late stage post-bird schmorsh on this.
No. Okay. Here. Okay. Just stay there. So minimize the Discord.
Nick.
Okay.
Damn it, Nick.
No. Here. Go look. I'm sorry.
Let me take a minute to remind you guys here while they're having technical difficulties that if you want to see
Do you know how
our 300 plus video archive, you want access to our Coom Tunes, you want to watch the old TikTok invasions, you want to see the Christmas special, only place to do that, thecrucible.video. Go there, sign up today, less than the cost of a trip to McDonald's. You can have access to content going back to 2022.
Beyond the Instagram tab, like I showed you before the stream. Yes.
The crucible.video. Are you not entertained?
Let's hit F11. Okay. And then control tab until I tell you we get to the right thing. Next. Okay, next.
Bro, every YouTuber could use a guy like me. Do all your art, your motion graphics, your website, your business stuff. Hell yeah.
Next.
You need 3 motherfuckers to replace me.
Next. I apologize to the viewers. I know this is okay. Next. There it is. Okay, this is what started the conversation as it pertains to immigration. Elon Musk on February 18th posted, wow, in response to the White House posting ASMR illegal alien deportation flight. Scroll down a little bit on this, Nick.
Being cocky is all I have, bro.
Okay, and to which you responded, you have no empathy for men, which led off to a conversation.
Oh yeah,
about immigration.
Elf is a
so
classic.
Are you in favor of illegal immigration?
Didn't you say that morality is based around empathy?
Yes, I did.
So wouldn't that be an immoral position? Or is it just a moral position because you don't have any empathy for this group of people?
What do you mean? I said you have no empathy talking about Elon Musk just because, I mean, I'm not for illegal immigration. That's not something that I'm advocating for, but I think that posting it in that way, as if it's funny to do that to people and just pick up their whole lives, I don't think that that's funny. I think it's tragic.
I don't think it's funny that they came here illegally and expected the American taxpayers to pay for them.
In a better way.
That's really not funny to me.
So your problem was that he was just laughing about it?
Yeah, I do have a problem with that.
But I mean, it is kind of ironically funny, right?
How?
Well, because if you break into my house,
Right.
and then the cops come and take you out, I'm probably gonna laugh at you, right?
Okay.
Would you laugh at somebody broke in your house and then?
I do think that's a little bit different, though.
But would you laugh at them?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm gonna sit back and let Andrew
for them then.
Well, I think that's a little bit different because those people aren't breaking into my house to live a better life. They're breaking into my house probably for a bad reason, I would assume, anyway.
Well, I mean, it's a good reason for them.
Right.
Like, their reasons for breaking into your house is they want your stuff for a materially better life, just like the immigrant, right?
Right. Well, I guess that's subjective based on scenario, but I don't think that it's right to laugh about that in particular when it comes to immigration.
So you're not. Where's the empathy towards me and mine? And then it just kind of becomes, well, their shit's worse. Right. It's like, but isn't there supposed to be empathy on both sides?
I totally think that there should be, yeah. I mean, it's really hard to pick a side when it comes to stuff like this, because I agree with both of I agree with that, but I think that the implications for deporting somebody that's lived here for their whole life and they don't speak the language of their home country versus you having to deal with that person in Walmart, I think it's a little bit of a different situation when it comes to...
Well, I understand it sucks.
Yeah.
Like, I get that. They're going to have a lot of readjusting to do. You know what I mean? But, not every DACA recipient is under that, right?
No.
But the thing is even for the ones who are, right? If you are to... This is one of the big, kind of like primary problems maybe we can dive into with your empathy's morality. What about looking forward 30 years? So it's like,
Right, that's true. But what if you send the signal that this is now okay? And so more illegals come in, have children here, understanding that, well, these kids in 20 years can make the same claim as the former DACA recipients, and now we have to make all of them citizens as well, bypassing all of the other people who are in line. Not much empathy for those people, right?
Right.
And creating now a perverse incentive for more people to come and do it. Seems like it's the least empathetic thing to do.
Well, what would your solution be then when it comes to deportation and legal immigration?
I would kick out every single legal immigrant who was here and everybody here who wasn't a naturalized citizen.
Okay.
Gone. They have no business being in our nation. Nation is, from my perspective, it's culture, borders, language. That's how very famous talk radio host Michael Savage used to frame it. I largely agree with that assessment. Culture, border, language. Right. So in this case, illegal immigrants who come in, they don't have the same culture. They often, like even at the hotel I'm staying at, half don't speak English, right?
Right.
And they've already violated the borders. So, like, what for me, that's already criminal. So when you say things like "let's deport the criminals," I'm like, well, there they are.
Okay.
Right? They're already criminals from my perspective.
Right.
They've already broken in here. So.
When it comes to parents that come here and they have a kid here, though, and they raise that kid here, obviously,
see ya.
They made a choice to do that. It's a selfish choice because they know that could be a possible implication. Do you still think that that's fine to...
Well, the law of the land is that if you're born here, you become a naturalized citizen.
Right.
So
that's not... So that would be...
I want to repeal that.
Okay.
I would like for there to be a different interpretation that says that a naturalized citizen you have to have a mom and a dad, and both of them are native to the nation, and then they have a child, that child becomes native to the nation.
Right.
I would get rid of the soil policy altogether, but that natural born would require your mom and your dad both be citizens of the nation, and then you become a citizen. That's like my ideal citizenship policy.
So when it comes to immigrants working here, do you not think that they are good for the economy? Do you think that they are harming it?
Sure, slave labor is good for the economy.
Okay. It's different.
Well, not really. So because they have no documentation, they can be paid under the table. They send remittances back to their home nation, which is untaxed, right? Totally untaxed remittances in the hundreds and hundreds of millions, if not, I think it's billions actually. That
they're patiently waiting for the food if they're gonna attack me.
We are audio and video recording this ride for your safety.
Don't quote me on that. It's at least hundreds of millions. They're sending back to their home nations. That's non-taxable. The employer is able to squeeze out American citizens for the jobs because now they can pay under the table.
Right.
And then they do work visa programs, but they're totally rigged. So the work visa programs are totally rigged for various companies. The whole thing is a massive clusterfuck when it comes to that. So, yeah, I don't think that that's good policy. I think that you're just kind of promoting slave labor, essentially, by giving people perverse incentives to have people come across the border, and then they have children here, and now we have a conundrum, right?
Right.
Like, what do we do now?
Well, I definitely am not advocating for slave labor. Or people getting paid under wage. I don't advocate for that, but just for an example, like, let's just say that you have a construction company and you have 100 illegal immigrants working for you. You're paying them under minimum wage, and then we deport all of them. So in what I think logically is, I don't think that these businesses would be hiring 100 American citizens and then paying them a just wage. I think that they would be spending the same amount of money but hiring less people, which would just make everything less efficient.
Then why don't we just bring everybody into the United States?
Well, I don't think that's really an argument.
It's not an argument.
Well, I'm not advocating for that. So.
Yeah, but why not? If it just is going to perpetually increase the GDP and it's going to perpetually increase the amount of cheap labor that businesses can get, why not just bring everybody here, or bring hundreds of millions a year here?
But do you understand my point, though? Like, do you?
No, not really. You're just saying, if you have a business and the business has 100 employees, right, and suddenly the business owner had to pay a fair market competitive wage, he would have less employees. Yeah. That seems like it's the advocation again of slave labor.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that this is how I think it would go. I don't think that these businesses would hire American citizens at the same rate and pay them a higher wage. I think that it would.
But isn't that why we want to get rid of illegals, so that businesses have to hire our citizens at a competitive wage?
But do you see how it would make things less efficient? And again, I'm not advocating for paying people below minimum wage, but unfortunately it is what it is. So just thinking about it in terms of that, would that not make it less efficient?
Yeah, so if you want to understand the implication of your argument here, what you're doing is you're advocating on behalf of rich industrialists. So if rich industrialists can pay people who are not American citizens less money to do jobs that they make more money off their back, and they don't have to actually employ the American public, they gravitate towards that. You actually have created a perverse incentive for illegals to come here and be second-class citizens and get paid less than the normal American.
Right.
Like that seems it's totally like contrary to what you actually want.
Well, I'm not advocating for that. I think that just thinking about it logically, like that's how these people run their businesses. That's why they hire illegal immigrants so that they can pay them less.
Sure. People violate the law all the time in order to make more money.
Which I don't agree with, but I'm saying, like, would that not make things less efficient if you had less workers?
Yes, it would make things less efficient if you had less workers. However, this could easily be applied to slavery. Ending slavery is bad because it would be less efficient because we would have less workers.
Right.
A big distinction between slavery and illegal immigration, though, because those people are here by choice.
Sure, but the
paid.
consistency of the argument is the same. So that your value that you're arguing is about efficiency.
Right.
So it's like, okay, great. Yes, it is more efficient, but also here's another scenario which would also be more efficient.
Well, sure, but that's a comparison that just.
So it seems like efficiency is not really what you're trying to argue then. You must be trying to argue something else. Because if you take efficiency and you say, well
I think
this will hurt the efficiency of the business, it's like, so's taking black people out of cotton fields. That hurts the efficiency of the cotton field, right?
Well, in that scenario, in a slavery scenario, obviously I'm not advocating for that, but I think illegal immigrants, they want to be here, they came here, they want to work, they want to make money, they're contributing to our system.
So did slaves.
But not by choice, and they're not getting paid.
That's
so
true, but
there's
then
a very big difference.
Then the value here must be something that's not efficiency. You must be arguing something that's not efficiency then. Because you keep on saying, well, it's less efficient. It's like, I can grant that.
That's just an example of how I think that illegal immigration has done something good for our economy, whether I think it's morally just or not. I think that you can say that it's
I agree.
made things
Illegal
more...
immigration can be super helpful to the economy in some aspects, but it can also be very draining in other aspects.
Yeah.
For the instance, these people are not paying into tax. The tax system for basic things like government subsidies for emergency care, right? It happens in emergency rooms. California had some of the finest hospitals in the world, which were bankrupted by illegal immigrants using them basically as the emergency room as a health facility, right?
Yeah.
There's all sorts of net drains also that they get, including fraud for Social Security, fraud for stealing people's identities, all sorts of fraud that drains the system, not to mention remittances, which aren't taxed. So the thing is like, if you're making the moral argument based on efficiency, I think that's not what you mean. You don't mean efficiency. You're just pointing out an example of how they can be a boon.
Yeah, that was just
But I would just agree. I would just agree there can be cases where they definitely help the economy.
Okay.
They're just in net, even if you made the case, and I agreed with it, that they mostly assist the economy, that's not the only dynamic of the problem we're looking at. Right?
Yeah, definitely not. That's just an example of why I think illegal immigration has been good in some ways.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Go ahead.
Like specifically where I live as well.
Where do you live?
I live in Tucson.
Oh, in Arizona?
Yeah, so it's right on the border. And obviously we have a lot of illegal immigrants.
And the people who live in the border towns hate them.
They sure do.
Yeah, they sure do. Why do you think that is?
Because they got there legally.
Well, because they destroy their property. They butcher their cattle. They do all sorts of horrible things to their private property. They do a lot of theft on the way over. They just loathe them. People in border towns are always demanding more and more security inside their towns. They can never get enough. Because, I mean, you can imagine how unsettling would it be if you go out for your nice, Starbucks latte or whatever it is in the morning, right? And it has the double shot of espresso or whatever the shit it is that girls get now. And you sit out and you're in your like little stocking, whatever, your blanket and shit, and you're on your deck and look out and there's families of illegal immigrants crossing your backyard destroying shit.
Okay, I'm sure that has
$7 holla
to someone. I've lived there for a very long time. I've never seen that happen. I've never heard of that happening.
We are 5 minutes away
I
from
live
Culver's
on
for
the
$7.
northern side, so Nogales, I think
So not the border side.
Yeah, not the border side, but Nogales, the crime rate over there is a lot higher. But I think that it's very community based. They don't really leave that. The crime stays in that area. I think it's a lot of
which is also bad.
Crime.
It's also bad. So it's like all the arguments that you can make as a pro for illegal immigration, you just have to kind of bite the bullet that you want to concede our sovereignty, because that's what it does. It concedes our sovereignty. I cannot go to Mexico tomorrow,
Andrew cooking,
absent paperwork, and work there illegally, right? And do whatever I want.
I mean, you wouldn't want to, though.
But even if there are tons of Americans who want to, especially rich ones, because the power of the dollar versus the peso is so high. If you're a multimillionaire, you go down to Mexico, you can live the high life, right?
Yeah.
Mexican government, though, they want their money. They don't want you to come into their country without sufficiently greasing the palms of the Mexican government, which then is supposed to trickle down to its citizens, whether it does or it doesn't. You can't do that with them. Why is it that we should have the expectation they can do it to us?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think that I don't think that we should just open the borders and let everyone in, but I think that you have to recognize the pros and the cons. There are both. We can't just say that illegal immigration is bad, period, because they have helped the economy.
Let me ask you a question. Would you say that slavery is bad, period?
Yes.
What about the pros?
Well, the pros are very one-sided when it comes to slavery. I think illegal immigration,
Nope, they're not. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
So you have two nations at war. One's an aggressor nation, much larger than the smaller one, right? And they attack, like let's say Russia attacked a smaller nation like, I don't know, Ukraine, let's say.
Okay.
Right? They attack, and the Ukrainians, during a counterattack, they're able to take over a large swath of Russia with tons of civilians who are all loyal to Russia.
Okay.
They have three options. Option A, imprison them, right?
Okay.
Option B, kill them. Or option C, let them go so that they can continue to assist their enemy in making weapons to kill your side.
Okay.
Those are your three options. Would it be more morally just to go ahead and imprison those people rather than kill them or have them run back to make weapons that were going to kill you?
That's a tough question.
Now, let's say you did imprison them.
Okay.
But we got so much food and so much resources, you're fighting a war.
Right.
Is it just then to have them assist against their will?
I think I would let them go.
You would let them go to assist the enemy in killing you?
I'm not. Here's the thing. I'm not a war leader. I don't belong in war. I make bad choices because
Right.
I don't want anybody.
Because empathy. Because empathy.
Okay.
That's the thing, right? It's like, what I'm giving you is an example of if you were to have two nations, they're at war, one's an aggressor nation, attacks a smaller one. It seems to me like they would be totally justified if they counterattack this other nation rather than letting their men go and continue to come back and fight another day, to imprison them and then force them to work against their will.
Okay, so in that scenario, you would say that slavery is just.
Sure.
Okay.
Wouldn't you?
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I would say that maybe it would have to be done, but I wouldn't be happy about it.
Well, I mean, maybe, but you're not happy to be in a war.
Well, no.
So what I'm saying is that there are just times to enslave people.
Okay.
And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't see, and so when people say like you got to take the pros and the cons of something, but then they make an unequivocal moral statement like there's no pros to slavery. It's like, yes, there is.
I mean,
but there's way more cons why we shouldn't do it. I get them.
Because wouldn't that just be cherry picking anyway?
Which one?
I mean, trying to find a good outcome of slavery when there are so many bad ones. Trying to find one good one just seems.
It's just showing that the principle is not consistent.
Okay.
So like we're just checking the consistency of the principle. So I abhor slavery, hate it. I think it's god awful.
Okay.
But I still need to be consistent enough to think, is it always under all circumstances, right, that are realistic? Like you can come up with bizarre hypotheticals where it's like, would you enslave 2 people to save the world? Like, okay, fine, but that's unrealistic.
Right.
What about realistic things that happen with slavery, where you're like, actually, like, if I was in that, I'd probably do that, right? And so I'm just checking for the principle, the consistency of the principle is all.
I mean, it's tough because I mean, my moral is just I don't want that to happen in general. So that would be a hard situation for me to deal with. I wouldn't be happy about it, but I guess that would be the only solution. So.
Yeah, empathy does not always provide the answers.
No, it doesn't. But it can lead you down a good path, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Well, I think one of the other disagreements that we had when we were discussing immigration was the question of feasibility. Is it feasible to deport the millions of illegal immigrants that are here? You had objections from an economic perspective. It's going to cost a lot to do that, and you also didn't believe it was feasible. I don't know if you have more to add to that, or Andrew. I mean, do you think that there's...
Yeah, it's totally feasible. Absolutely.
Okay.
We can deploy the United States military right to the border, orders shoot to kill.
But
I would do it right away tomorrow.
Wait, shoot to kill?
Oh, yeah.
The illegal immigrants?
Yeah. It's if on the border, if they're trying to cross. Yeah.
I thought the ones who are currently
No.
Isn't it wrong to kill though, based in religion?
It's wrong to murder.
Is that not murder?
No.
Killing someone is not murder?
No, murder definitionally is the unjustified killing of someone.
Okay, so
Yeah,
if you can
dummy.
justify it, it's fine.
If you have good
No, it's not that it's
justification for it.
fine.
That's
It's just
subjective.
two different things:
I
killing and
don't
murder.
wanna justify it to myself.
Well, I would
Adult?
consider justification. Well, I would start with the idea of what justification is,
Okay.
and then with the idea of is it an objective or subjective justification? But either way, I would be justified. So if you say, well, there is no objective morality, it's only subjective, right?
Mhm.
And it's relative between people,
Okay.
then you really can't give me any reason why I shouldn't do that.
So, for example, somebody breaks in your house, you shoot them. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay. That's justified. But you're walking down the street, you see a family of illegal immigrants, you don't like it, you shoot them.
That's not what you said.
What? Where
that
did
would
you
be
get this from, man?
It's your choice.
Insane. Just gotta try to.
So if they're trying to break in, just
Ugh.
like they're trying to break into your house, I would view it the same way.
Breaking into the country.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I don't have an argument against that. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
So,
I understand.
You're in favor of it?
I'm not in favor of it. I just personally wouldn't.
Well, do you think that illegal crossings would significantly go down if the United States military was on the border and said if you try to cross the border illegally, we open fire? Don't you think that? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, then it sounds like I solved the problem
Okay.
by not using empathy.
All right. Well, then let's put that into play.
I agree. Totally.
I don't know. I don't know if I haven't even thought of that as a solution. I don't know if that's my position, but I would agree with you insofar as, Andrew, it would be a massive deterrence.
Yes.
It would be a massive deterrence. Okay.
Just
if I
like
cross
nuclear
the border-
bombs.
Right.
Why do you have nukes? It's not to use them, right?
Deterrence.
It's to stop people from using them. So the idea isn't actually to send them down there with orders to shoot to kill. The idea is that because they have orders to shoot to kill, they'll never have to.
Okay.
That's the idea.
I mean, if nobody has to die.
Well, we hope. Probably some will.
Okay.
Yeah.
BRB. Where you at, bruh? Where you at, bruh? I'm right here. Say hello to my little friend. What's up? Is that what you want me to say? Is that how you want me to say it?
There is like a flat, simple way to fix.
Hey man, just.
Pretty sure that would fix it.
That's a way, sure.
What time is it there in India?
Really hard to pass.
It's morning? What time?
I think
10
you're
p.m. here.
correct that it would be difficult to pass through Congress, an act of Congress, which
Andrew just
applies.
giving lessons
But,
at this
well,
point.
You know, the president's the commander-in-chief, though. He doesn't, I'm not sure that that would be war authorization, so I think he could actually unilaterally just order the military and order the border
Drop
states
off
to
in
mobilize their
9
National Guard
minutes.
with orders to shoot together. I
9
think
minute
he
drop off.
actually could do that.
Didn't he try to get the military over there though?
The military's there now. They just don't have orders to shoot to kill,
Right.
unfortunately.
Okay. Well,
He says, unfortunately. What do you think?
Well,
Is that unfortunate? Do you
I-
think it's unfortunate?
that they can't kill them? I don't think that
We are
that's
audio and
unfortunate.
video
I don't.
recording this
I'm
ride
not
for your
advocating
safety.
for the killing of anybody.
Well, it's not an advocation of, it's an advocation to make sure there is no killing. I believe in force doctrines, the idea of 5'1" men attacking 7 foot tall, 300-pound men doesn't seem that likely to me. It seems like they generally won't do that, right?
Right.
So it seems like if you're a 7 foot, 300-pound, buff, yoked out dude,
Mm-hmm.
you're probably not going to get attacked. And the whole idea behind that is because the person is worried that if they do attack you, what happens? They get messed up real bad, right?
Right. So if you think if this is something
I
that
don't even know what
Trump
that
would
is.
do, why do you think?
So
he
I don't have
hasn't
any
done
thoughts
I just
about
don't
it.
think that he would
What's
be
going
able
on,
to
Samantha?
justify a
Where you
political.
been?
it? Okay. Why though?
Because I think that there would be an outcry, a general outcry against it, and it could stress his.
I hope dinner's ready when I get home.
Yeah, I think it could be argued that this. I'm not sure.
All right, chat.
Right.
I hope
According to the
dinner's ready when I get
ACLU,
home, Samantha.
In a significant legal development, the Supreme Court ruled in
90s
2020
Mercedes.
families of non-citizens shot by
well,
federal
if you want your
agents on
maintenance
foreign
costs really
territories
high,
when they
sure.
enter the U.S. have no constitutional right to sue for damages in U.S. courts.
That would cause a bunch of
So this implies that Border Patrol agents
sounds
cannot be
nice,
sued
but
for
I
damages
don't want
if
any
they shoot
maintenance
foreign
costs that
nationals
cost more than a
across
car.
the border. But it does not
taking your
explicitly
arm,
authorize shoot-to-kill
putting
orders.
it on your border and telling people who try to cross that border that there's going to be dire consequences if they do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's totally reasonable. It's within the confines of reason. It's logical. It seems within force doctrine. It would actually prevent more crossings and it would prevent more deaths ultimately.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a solution, my own solution when it comes to immigration. I think that topic is far too complicated for me, and I don't know enough about.
Yeah, that ain't the only topic that's far too complicated for you.
Okay.
What the solution?
I think, dude, this is so heavy. Was that there were flights.
What am I driving? I have a Tesla and I drive a Prius. Right now I'm driving the Prius.
Didn't think this was actually a thing. I don't know if you still think that's the case, but
I still think.
there were in fact flights flying in
Hundreds of thousands.
illegal, and I don't know the precise number, but
Yeah, have you ever heard of the migrant caravans?
The what now?
Migrant caravans?
I have heard of those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's tens of thousands of people whose entire objective was to go through South America and Mexico, collecting as many people as possible in order to break into the country at a single point, make a political statement. The Democrats assured them that they would have hotel rooms, that they would be taken care of. They actually
All right,
had
so it says here the
liaisons
president
with
of the
South
U.S.
America and would
does
coach
not have
these
the authority to
migrant
directly
caravan
issue shoot-to-kill
leaders.
orders for
It was a
individuals
big
illegally crossing the border
Yeah.
because
Syria,
those
amazing.
are outlined by the CPB's, the Custom and Border Protection's use of force policy. Now, according to that policy currently, lethal force is permissible when it's objectively reasonable and an evident threat is clear.
Because it's
However,
demographics.
the people who determine what the CBP's force policy is are a committee of senior leaders from the CBP, the Department of Justice, and the Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And all of those departments are effectively run by the president. So it seems like if he really wanted to get that changed, he could. Sorry, I'll stop interrupting now. I just wanted to fill that in.
Okay, but to sign up to vote though, how do you do that without?
No, Andrew's fine on his own.
Your fake ass social that you got out of. So what happens is, here's what people do. They go to a cemetery, okay? Well, they don't.
Hope everyone's listening to the podcast and enjoying it.
Look
It's
through
very
obituary
interesting
records
debate.
for somebody, like, let's say your name is Javier Juarez, right? And you're roughly 25 years old. And so you go through the obituaries and you find somebody whose name is like, I don't know, Rodrigo something or another, and he's 22, right? And he has roughly the same types of features that you do, right? You can apply, get a death certificate, get the death certificate, and then you can manipulate that in such a way to get a birth certificate. You take the birth certificate down to the Social Security office, say, I lost my Social Security card. They give you back your Social Security card. Then you go get a normal, real state ID. You have now assumed somebody else's identity.
Are there statistics that show how many people that have passed away have voted in this last election?
The problem is, right, is like they wouldn't count them as passed away because this is an active person who's not dead, right?
But they did die though.
Yeah, they did die, but that doesn't mean that they've been officially counted, one. And two, when you're talking about the assumed identification, they're also going to be counted as a living person. You can have conflicting records inside of our record keeping, apparatuses, and this happens often. Now, how many there are? Liberals will tell you that there's very few cases like this, but it's very, very difficult to determine how many there actually are of cases like this. Very difficult because they've already assumed the identity. The person is dead.
Keep this away from this drop off.
Right, but it happens a lot.
Smells
more
good. I love
people
Culver's.
Well,
I love
it's one of those
Culver's.
things,
Frozen custard.
I'm sure it happens, and I'm sure it's happened, but
Love that ice
there's
cream
just
goodness.
there's no stats on it. There's no way to get stats on it, so it's hard for me to.
though there is
Cops
a way
has
to
better
get
burgers.
stats on
I would go to
this.
Cops for a burger,
That every single year, 1 million.
and then go to Culver's
illegal
for
immigrants
cheese
come into
curds
the United States.
and ice cream.
How many illegal immigrants do you think are here?
I think probably 5 or 6 times the estimate that they say.
Okay, what do they say the estimate is?
Brian, have to pull it up officially.
11
Couple of
million.
million.
11 million.
No. So Mick, in the StreamYard, it's in the actual browser. Do you see where it says private chat? It's on primary monitor. It's on your primary monitor. It's selected. Do you see where it says private chat? No, hold on. So just switch this back to comments. Do you see that comments?
The 11.46 million estimate was of February 2022.
Okay. Yeah, we're on private chat. Look,
2023 in July, the Center for Migration Studies of New York
now
reported an increase to 11.7 million undocumented migrants.
To how many illegal
Private property. I love it.
But it's really unknown.
Shut the fuck up, heartbreak my ass.
Homeland.house.gov.
It's not private property.
So this is Department
Pull it up, Jamie.
Security, I believe. This is their source.
It's a party.
One sec, guys.
Can I join the party too? Oh no, that's just their house.
Things here.
I like their chandelier.
So, Nick, I'm going to have you scroll down just a little bit. New documents reveal airports used by Secretary Mayorkas to fly hundreds of thousands
Catch up on some of these, sorry guys.
Aliens into U.S. via.
I'll show you guys their house in a moment. Not like their in the name, but like their surroundings. Oh, I can't bring their drink. All right.
Just throw some alligators and landmines in there. Washington, D.C. Today, the House Committee on Homeland Security reviewed.
Identified
class out here.
airport locations, including our nation's
She's a
capital,
whiner.
used by DHS.
That could be a good one,
process
actually.
into the country more than
Thank you, Donna. Appreciate your support.
Inadmissible aliens through the administration's unlawful Cuban, Haitian, Nicaraguan, and Venezuelan mass parole program. The program was officially launched in January 2023, and the documents obtained by the committee cover the period from January to August, accounting for roughly 200,000 of these individuals.
I can't really show you guys.
As of October 2023.
There's our open field.
Oh yeah, hey, you bunch of pricks.
There's their neighbor.
What's going on? I thought this was the Griff stream.
Quite a bit more.
Not a lot of
There's the neighbor.
So
it's kind of hard to see because it's so dark out. But
scroll down.
This would be the type of area I'd be looking
top 15
to live.
Airport
Stop. Just quiet.
The top 15 airport locations used for the program and the number of inadmissible aliens who flew into a port of entry between January and August 2023 were Miami, 91,000, Fort Lauderdale, 60,000, New York City, 14,000, Houston, 8,000, Orlando 6,000, Los Angeles 3,000, Tampa 3,000, et cetera, et cetera.
I'll do
Scroll down a bit. The other airports used for the program, okay, that's fine. And I mean, that's pretty much it. As it relates to the flights.
Yeah, and you can point out too that there was a time period here during C-19
recording this ride for your
when COVID was going on, right? Where most of the ballots were mail-in.
Right.
And the mail-in ballot system is like the worst fucking idea ever conceived by man.
Yep.
Because the proofs there were very slight to have those votes counted. So having thousands of unsecured ballot locations, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was, they can definitely participate in the political process whether they are supposed to or not.
Okay.
So those are the arguments, I guess, there.
Do you have a position on this at all, or?
I don't think I have anything to contribute that hasn't already been said.
Let's go, boys.
So I don't feel like it's necessary for me to jump in on that one.
Are there any other topics that you feel more?
Thank you very much, Wade. We appreciate you.
Religion? Is there anything? Okay, we can do that. But are there any other people off?
$17 holla.
Hey, I'm just being honest.
Picking up 7 items. I'll bring you guys inside. We're doing a grocery for 2 people.
Sex work is a topic
7 items, 2
I'm
people.
passionate about.
$17.
That's a tired topic.
$17 holla.
Because she does it for a living.
I think there are a lot of different viewpoints from different kinds of sex workers.
Yeah, like from your hands and knees, from your back.
To legalization.
Elevated hips with a pillow.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Lots of different viewpoints.
Kind of like a control over that industry that we may or may not have, depending on what the circumstances are.
Relax, Tom. Nobody thinks
Such
they're
as
in
places
charge.
where it's legal, like Nevada.
Just having a little fun. So sorry, bud.
We're looking at protection for people who work independently. Not necessarily on the street, but like online and things like that.
I'm not advocating it. I'm just
so you're making a distinction between
saying it like descriptively.
After this trip, this will put it at $68.
Multiple ways, right? So you're talking about, are we talking about protecting sex workers or this or that, or?
Yeah, there can be a lot of opposing viewpoints.
Yeah. I have the 100% number one way to protect sex workers.
Man,
they don't be sex workers.
Okay.
It's 100% effective. Wouldn't you agree?
Not necessarily.
No.
I'm not sure they will, bud.
No, I don't think I could answer that with just a yes or no, because I think there's slightly more nuance to it. I can only use where I work currently.
Passionate about the easy money, yeah.
Where we are very well protected.
Is there a chance, though?
A chance for?
A chance for you to, in some way, be assaulted or something like this through the fact that you're a sex worker?
Well, there's always that chance.
Is there? But there's 100% chance that you're not going to be assaulted as a sex worker if you're not one.
Well, I think as a woman, there's always a chance.
Right, but it's not going to be based on the fact that you're in an industry where this is much more common than when you're not in the industry, right?
I couldn't give you a percentage, but that would be a fair statement depending.
Oh yeah, it's much more common. Assaults of sex workers,
For sure.
of course.
Because I can only speak on where I work. The security is great. We all have business licenses. We receive testing once a week. We're background checked by the county, whether that be a sheriff's department or a police department. It depends on your
Is this
area.
one of the ranches?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha. So the thing is like, my understanding in those places, they have like literal guard dogs that they patrol the perimeters with. They have armed security. But I don't know if that's true or not. This is just what I'm told, right? So I'm sure security there is, bar none, fantastic. Do you ever go into a room with a John alone?
Yeah.
Do you do that as part of your daily course?
I don't understand.
When you go into a room with a John alone, right? Is that would you consider that a routine part of your job?
Yes.
Yeah. So then, do you usually know these Johns?
No.
No. Okay. So then, what you're saying is that yes, this place is really well guarded until you go into a room by yourself with a John, right? And then you engage in sexual activity, and your chances there of being abused obviously are significantly higher than if you were not in the room with the stranger having sex with them, right?
Yeah, I would say it also depends on what kind of services you're offering as well. That can make a big difference in what I would consider the odds.
But just like being in the room with the John doing anything sexual is going to increase your chances of being assaulted, right?
That chance is always there.
Yeah. So I have my 100% foolproof way to make sure that you, because I care about you, never get assaulted again, is that you never do sex work. And then I can guarantee that you'll never be in a room with a strange man again, unless it's by some volition of your own, not because you need money, where that man will assault you.
What about OnlyFans, though?
What about it?
So, I mean, obviously there is a point. In-person sex work, you're alone with a random man. That can be scary. OnlyFans, though, how can that be dangerous?
Parasocial relationships. So.
Okay.
So let's see if we can untangle this, right? I'm positive, right, in my streaming career, I have at least some people who probably have a parasocial relationship with me. You know what that means, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing I can do about that. Mm-hmm. That's going to come with the territory. So the only thing I can do is be as responsible as I possibly can do or be by, if such a relationship bubbles and I can see it, by putting the kibosh on it, right?
Right.
Saying things like, I'm not your friend, I'm not your buddy, right? I'm just an entertainer, you happen to be a fan, right? This parasocial kind of relationship. Not that I haven't had fans that have become friends, because I have.
Right.
But I'm just saying, generally speaking, I try to put the kibosh on that immediately, right away. Your angle, though, right? A parasocial relationship is going to be way, way more likely because of the nature, because of the nature of what you're doing.
But
so that puts you at a higher elevated risk in comparison to even other people in similar industries.
But I don't use my my name or anything, my real name. So,
and do you think that would stop people?
I think it would make it a little bit harder. Sure. But I mean, I've been doing it for a while. I think some people definitely do have parasocial relationship with me.
I was just watching a story this morning. There was a guy, I don't remember his name, but he was like a bald dude, and he developed a parasocial relationship with an OnlyFans girl, and he began to spend his family's credit card money.
You've seen that.
Yeah, started spending his family's money on her. He became completely obsessed. He became totally irate, and
Charging cable disconnected. Recording will stop after.
All right, let's go, guys. I gotta use the bathroom first.
Continue this relationship.
Right.
Now, I'm willing to grant, right, that there are musicians and other people out there who are so ridiculously famous that there's deranged fans who would do something similar with them and they're not in sex work. I'm just stating that the chances of it are way higher in your industry.
And wouldn't that be part of my responsibility as well, though? Like, being on the internet to make sure these people don't get connected to me in that way or attached to me in that way? Because I do try.
Well, I think the nature of what you do is to try to create this kind of relationship literally on purpose. So, and this is all by the nature of the work itself. It's not saying, so I'm going to try to be charitable here. I think you tried to divorce yourself. What's your name? I'm sorry. Savannah. That Savannah, the person's trying to divorce herself from Savannah, the sex worker.
Those are two different people. And Savannah, the sex worker, is doing sex work. That's not really who she is. She's this whole other person who likes flowers and unicorns and pretty nails or whatever the fuck it is, right? Like whatever that person is not this person.
I do have that luxury. I don't speak for everyone. I only speak for myself.
So you've never pretended to be more into it than you're not?
I don't have to.
No, okay. Well, you would agree, though, that at least in your industry, that women are going to be moaning, they're going to be like screaming at the top of their lungs, they're going to be doing things like this, even though they ordinarily... Yeah, I'm sure it happens with you too, whether you admit it or not. But that aside, coming back to this, the idea here is that your other forms of entertainment specifically are not trying to develop the parasocial aspect.
I totally agree about the safeness of it, but I think taking measures to make sure that in case anything happens, you can protect yourself. I think, regardless of if I did sex work or not, I would want to have...
I thought we were best friends, Hector.
So,
are we doing shots or what?
I don't feel any less safe doing it, but I
got a bottle of Jameson.
But I get to be at home, so...
Yeah, but I mean, these are tiered arguments, right? So the first tier is the safety of even the prostitute in this case,
right,
and of the John are paramount. We have the overarching STDs, which are in this industry, which including OnlyFans have an overrepresentation of STDs against the general public. Why? Because they do GG content.
Right.
And oftentimes they're not as rigorously even tested as the people in the porn industry are when they do that sort of content. So then we have to compete with that. With the amount of STDs that come in, then we have to deal with the trafficking that comes in with this. And then also, I mean, the list is like endless of the societal ills that come with sex work. Whereas banning it, what bad happens when we ban this? That there's a black market potentially that opens up for it.
Well, I think South Korea is a good example of what happens when you do ban porn.
All right, cheers.
I know it's
down the hatch,
but it's not actually.
But I think they have higher rates of rape and sexual assault, and they also have the law there that...
Than what, the United States? Definitely not.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm willing to concede if I'm wrong, because we're talking about stats off the top of our head, but can you look at the...
It's hard to...
Yeah, I see.
I already did one. Are we doing another or what?
I'm willing to concede if I'm wrong on that, but I would find it, like, kind of stunning if it was the case, or if that was the case and there wasn't at least underlying reasons for it that aren't as obvious as what you're portraying, right?
Okay.
So,
Dude,
but
it's
yeah,
way
it is
worse
true
if my
that
volume's the
South
exact
Korea
same as the stream.
is banned, but it's not IP banned really.
Right.
So people can still
Way worse, and you can't hear nothing.
It's a very westernized nation, right? And I would even argue that absent feminism and the various herbivore
Stream's loud as it
that are
gets.
going on in these Asian nations. What do they call it now? Not herbivore.
Isn't that the term? Herbivore?
Well, that's for Japan, but whatever. Where women are checking out and men are checking out of the Department of Relationship, period, because they don't want to be with these feminists. That you probably wouldn't see that sort. Yeah, you probably. Yeah, there you go. That you probably wouldn't see that sort of consumption. Even the IP ban consumption, you probably wouldn't see that. So there's other things that are going on in South Korea, which I would contribute to other crises which are happening there, not because of
Not just because
corn being banned. Yeah, that's actually a very popular position there, by the way, to keep it banned.
Right.
Like people
I'm
reintroduce
sure.
trying to get it approved again, and it just gets smacked down every time. So.
Yeah, I think that there could be some regulations when it comes to corn in America.
Okay, well maybe we can get agreement then.
Okay.
So maybe we can find some agreement here. Here's my perfect compromise plan, right? You have to show ID.
Yeah,
You have to upload ID in order to get on a corn website.
I agree.
Have to.
I agree.
Okay. Period. There needs to be some sort of verification there
I
for
agree with that.
Yeah, you agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree with that.
What do you think will happen to the market though when
Well,
that
the
happens?
thing is that OnlyFans already does.
There's still sugar in this. Sucralose. Sucralose. Sugar. That's how they like to hide shit. Sucralose.
At least the age of
Thank you, JJ.
start at 26.
There's another one.